Well, if we only have an hour, I don't know if we're going to get to all of the potting that we're about to have to
Yes,
do.
we
Welcome
can. She just won't be
to.
a part of it.
Oh, okay, cool. So she'll be left out of the long legs discussion of this portion of the
Oh,
podcast.
really? Okay.
As will I.
That's up to
Yes.
you.
Dex
So-
won't be here.
So it'll be Tej and I just yelling at each other about how.
Right.
No,
Good,
we
this
should
movie,
do,
actually.
we should do long legs second so that Mo can be there for that part because Dex isn't going to give us nothing, obviously, but he's seen Twisters.
But I want Mo's opinion on Twisters too and how sexless the movie is.
So are we doing Twisters and Longlegs? Or are we doing?
We're doing so. I should welcome to a One Take Podcast, episode 180. This week we are doing Deadpool and Wolverine, plus Twisters, plus Longlegs. If we get to all of it, if I don't die, because I've just been going forever today. So anyway, welcome back, Mo, to the podcast as usual. Mo, thank you for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here once again. Let's pod.
Let us do it.
His
Of
lot
course,
of thoughts.
of course, we're talking first about the biggest movie ever.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Look, what the fuck? Like I knew it was gonna be good, but holy shit!
Right.
I
Deadpool
knew
and
it
Wolverine.
like do good business, but
Deadpool and Wolverine came out last week as you're listening to this probably. It's rated R, of course. 8.2 on IMDb, 56 Metascore. Deadpool is offered a place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by the Time Variance Authority, but instead recruits a variant of Wolverine to save his universe from extinction. Directed by Sean Levy and written by the most people on the planet. Is the longest writing credits I've ever seen for a film. So it's written by Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, and Paul Wernick, who wrote the first Deadpool movie. Zeb Wells and Sean Levy also have writing credits on this movie. So it seems to me like I think like Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick wrote this script again, and then per usual, it's kind of like Ryan Reynolds was like, I have some thoughts on what this character needs to be. Regardless, so let's see, five people took a crack at this script, so that all got writing credits at least. So that's interesting. It stars everyone in Hollywood. Ryan Reynolds is back as Deadpool for the third time. Hugh Jackman back for the 24th year in a row as Wolverine.
This is actually his fourth time playing Deadpool. You have to count the first time because they reference it in the movie and in the second and first.
Oh yeah, the Fox Deadpool. Well, he was Wade Wilson in Wolverine in that Wolverine movie. But anyway, Emma Corrin plays Cassandra Nova. Matthew McFadden is new character called Mr. Paradox. Jon Favreau makes an appearance. Rob Delaney back. Marina, how do you say her name? Baccarin as Vanessa. In a, unfortunately she doesn't have anything to do in this movie, but she's here as well too. And just do we want to spoil this whole movie since I don't think there's anybody in America that hasn't seen it?
Yeah, we can definitely spoil the whole movie by the time they hear this. We should spoil it.
Spoilers. Plus people are just tweeting clips of the movie on Twitter,
which is insane. Have some couth.
Have some wherewithal, like stop filming stuff. First of all, stop filming stuff in the movie. Unless you're Tej, who torrents all of that. But
sometimes I appreciate that somebody has their phone out in the movie theater, but very, very rarely.
I don't need your shaky hands filming the Deadpool Wolverine fight scene. Like I don't need that. That's fine.
That's a good one.
I'll just go watch it. But so yeah, Wesley Snipes, Channing Tatum, Jennifer Garner, Daphne Keane, and fucking Chris Evans. Not as Captain America, but as, the bit that they've been that has been sort of circling the drain at Marvel is that member that Chris Evans was also that guy, Johnny Storm, years ago. That bit's been circling around, and they finally just did it in this movie.
Finally just did it.
Yeah, and then Henry Cavill is in this movie too. Only other person to play Wolverine in a Marvel movie, by the way, than Hugh Jackman. So I said the most popular movie maybe ever. As of recording, this has made. Do we want to play the box office game, or do we know the numbers?
I know the numbers.
I think I know the numbers.
Okay, so this movie has made. It was a $200 million budget, which it may actually be more than that, but who's to say? It for a rated R movie, a rated R essentially buddy comedy. It has made $444 million worldwide in the course of a week.
Not even a week.
Not even a week. A weekend.
Damn, that's
This is
crazy.
Monday. This is the Monday after the opening weekend when we're recording this.
That's crazy.
Superhero fatigue, I was told.
Right.
Yeah,
Everyone's
a lot of
so
that.
tired of superheroes.
Well, it seems to be the only people that are actually tired of superheroes are critics and movie pilled people, online. Irony poisoning is the word I was looking for. But to that end, 78% critic score, 97 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Deadpool's peaceful existence. What is actually the critics? Ryan Reynolds makes himself at home in the MCU with acerbic wit, while Hugh Jackman provides an adamantium backbone to proceedings in Deadpool and Wolverine, an irreverent romp with a surprising soft spot for a bygone era of superhero movies. I think that's a little kind, but, we'll get to what my thoughts are on this movie. As always, we want to hear from the guests first after I just went on a long diatribe. Mo, what did you think of this year's Titanic?
This year's Titanic? Wait.
Just the biggest movie on the planet. I don't know. Avatar.
Because this year's Titanic is Twisters, so.
That, you know what? That is a good take. That is the right take.
That's incredible.
But with way less sex, I guess. But we were not there. Deadpool and Wolverine. First of all, I've been in love with Wolverine since I knew what being in love with someone on television or like a movie screen was. So it's always nice to get more Hugh Jackman on screen. Are we grading right now too?
Yeah, go ahead. And spoiling
After you
and
tell us what
doing
you
everything.
It was hilarious, which is what I expect from every Deadpool film. Every Deadpool film, I die laughing the entire time. I get the jokes. I enjoy them. But, I sat with it afterwards for about a couple of days. And I was like, that's not staying with me. I don't know if I'm going to rush to see it again, which, it's usually about the experience within. And I think it was a great experience. I had a good time. But it doesn't stay with me. It's less of a movie and more of like, a really great like stand-up comedy show, which is fine. I love stand-up comedy shows, but I didn't really like the story was just a story that I feel like, me and 15 other 15-year-olds could have written, which is fine. Shout out to, the teens being, great writers, but, I enjoyed it. It's hard. It doesn't sound like it, but I really did. I had the time of my life watching it, but it didn't feel like a movie. It felt like a show. It felt like I was watching a show. So a good show, but not a movie. So that's how I feel overall. I think specifically Ryan Reynolds and all of the, one-liners and the zingers hit very, very hard. But for some reason, when you do that, when you make those kind of jokes, it's interesting that we don't just make the better movie. At some point, we're making a bunch of jokes about the movie that we're making and the things that we're doing in the movie, to where I'm like, what if we just don't do that? Or would you not have as many jokes? What if you did just make a better movie? And, I don't know. So I feel like after like the 15th super film joke, which happens all the time, which is hilarious every time, but I'm like, maybe what if we didn't have a third act flashback? What if we actually did do something here? What if we did do something with the villain and it wasn't just Tom Wamsgans from Succession being Tom Wamsgans from Succession? What if we did something more with that character? So that was super interesting. But like I said, I had a good time. I'm giving it a B- because a movie that makes me laugh damn near the entire way through is going to be hard to rate poorly. But I mean, it's just not a movie. I just watched a show. I just watched a really cool show with a couple of cool guys, and that was fine. That's my take.
Yeah, it's very few and far between like stand-up comedy routines that enter the zeitgeist nowadays. And there's very few and far, like, take what you will about Shane Gillis, but like that entered a lot of people's, like, especially a lot of my friends, like lexicon, or infiltrated TikTok, or like, Chappelle's will get thrown around for sometimes the wrong reasons, but there's very few now that enter the lexicon, sort of like a live on Sunset Strip back in the day would have done. uh I don't know why I'm blanking on uh his name, but or the early Chappelle stuff that like is quoted into forever.
Right.
But to your point, there are very few and far between things that get thrown up on Netflix, like stand-up comedy shows that get thrown up on Netflix now, that you watch and you go, I liked all of that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that I understand what you're saying when it comes to that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's like I said, I had a great time, but I feel like, this is One Take Pod. Shout out to, reviewing film, but I really just feel like I watched a really cool, like, little, stand-up comedy show, which become theatrical productions at some point too. So, I mean, there's crossover, there's that, like, we get it, but I don't know. I felt like I was watching like a cool play, stand-up comedy show with a couple of, buried within an action film. So let me not completely take away that I wasn't watching a movie. It was definitely an action film, but I mean that was very much a subset of it, and there were cool shots of action. I don't think we necessarily watched an action film. Everything else overshadowed that it was an action film to me, but the action scenes went crazy. I enjoyed them deeply. So yeah.
What I was looking for was Richard Pryor. Ding, 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 ding. Richard Pryor. Little known comedian Richard Pryor.
Yes, very rare, very obscure guy.
Dex, your take is the one that I'm interested to see, because Tej tweeted that he has some takes about the Wesley Snipes and the cameos of it all. But your take, I think, is what a lot of people's is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is I don't care. Scoreboard, I had fun, like I don't.
Yeah, I had a great fucking time. First of all, glad to be back. Good to be on American soil.
Welcome back.
Haven't gotten to yap with y'all in like a month. So
yeah, I was gonna say, how many movies did you watch on that 20-hour god awful flight?
Jesus Christ. I started at least like 8 movies on the way home. I didn't finish all of them, and I slept through Priscilla. Dude, that shit stunk. That shit was ass. I got like 30 minutes into Priscilla, and I was like, oh, this is just not a movie. Like, this is just Coppola looking at you and being like, did you know Elvis was bad, actually? And that's it. Like, not a film. But anyway.
That sucks for my Cali Spaney agenda.
It's not even like she was bad. It's just not a movie. Like, it's just not. Anyway. Deadpool and Wolverine. So yeah, I came out of this movie. I went into this movie having heard some people, all the super critic takes who were like, this is the worst thing never happened to cinema. I hate what we've become. Like, I've lost all hope, whatever. And I also saw people who were like, yeah, it's Deadpool and Wolverine. It's Deadpool, it's Wolverine. It's cool. It's fun. So I went in with low expectations, like, oh, what's about to happen here? Like, it must be really bad. Like, maybe the MCU really fell off. Maybe it's over. Whatever. I'm just going to go in blind, expecting nothing, hoping for nothing, and then see what happens. I had a great fucking time. I sat there in this packed movie theater, because this is apparently the most popular film of all time. Everyone was laughing the entire movie. It's not one of those, it wasn't, at least for me, one of those theaters where people are like, oh, haha. Like, no, people were like belly laughing the entire time, like from the opening credits. As soon as Bye 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 hit, everyone was like on board, like having the time of their lives, and just kept that same energy the entire film. So, I was just in it. I like the Fox era of movies. So, that definitely helps if you didn't watch those movies or you didn't like them and thought they were stupid, then I don't know what this movie does for you. But as someone who was coming of age during that era, and like those are the first like big tentpole movies that I went to go see, you know, this all of this nostalgia, it worked for me. I was just down for, oh, Jennifer Garner's here. I remember her as Elektra. That's awesome. I remember when Channing Tatum was supposed to have a Gambit movie. What a moment for him. So yeah, I get what Mo was saying, that like it doesn't feel like a movie. It definitely does feel like you're hanging out, reminiscing with your friends. But I think that's okay. I think you can do that. I feel like if there's any movie franchise that's earned the right to just like hang out for a little bit and reminisce, it's the MCU. And you know, I feel like it makes sense for like this whole multiversal thing to like have a movie where we just acknowledge like, yeah, like all of these things did happen, they did exist. We don't have to pretend that you've never seen the original Blade or that you've never seen the original X-Men movies when we're eventually getting like the hottest people in Hollywood to come like play these new roles. Like, yeah, all this stuff did happen and it was great. And before we move on and leave it forever, we should like take a second and be like, yeah, that was a fun time. So I appreciated that. The story is whatever in this movie. I get what they were going for with like giving this Wolverine like this super emotional backstory or whatever. Backstory didn't really hit for me. They revealed what it was, and I was like, oh, that's it.
Because they ran out of budget to show it to you.
But yeah, even like just hearing about it, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was thinking like you did the Holocaust or something, like personally. But yeah, I think, you know, the redemption arc is in there and it's cool and it's fun to watch Hugh Jackman have fun with Ryan Reynolds. The action scenes were dope. That scene where they were fighting all the other Deadpools and then they all like just immediately come back. I thought it was awesome watching them get killed, and I thought it was hilarious watching them come back. Great bit. You know, stuff like that. It's all good. I had a great time. I don't think this movie is going to be one that I'm like watching over and over again at home. I feel like watching this at home alone, you're just gonna like, it's gonna be kind of similar to No Way Home, where you're just like, these awkward beats where like the audience would be clapping like don't make sense as much at home,
where they pause for laughs. Yeah.
But you know, seeing it in a movie theater the way it was supposed to be experienced at AMC, we make movies better. Shout out to Nicole Kidman. I think it ruled. I had a great time. I'll give it a B+. Just kind of building in that it will feel a little hollow eventually watching it on Disney Plus in a couple of years by yourself, but it was such a good time in the theater. I can't give it lower than a B+.
Can I just say about the whole Fox thing? It's like, I think there's a lot of like want to acknowledge by a lot of fans to acknowledge that those movies never existed. You know, we're doing this thing. And so I think there's a lot of need for people to say, well, those things never existed. We need to keep moving forward with what this is. Where as to say, to a point, yes, but some of those Fox movies are some of the best superhero movies of the last 20 years. True. And some of them are fucking horrible. Some of them are the worst of the worst. So it's a real give and take when you come back and you look at those movies through like rose-colored glasses, where you're like, oh, all of the, you know, because some of them are truly horrendous, like Elektra, are truly abominable. So I don't.
Whoa.
No, we're not gonna.
No, that movie stinks.
You know,
I've seen that movie so many times. I love Elektra. But I guess,
oh my god, you are literally the only Elektra fan in existence. Jennifer Garner doesn't even like Elektra.
But notice my power because Jennifer Garner was in this film and we had a great time. And
that doesn't mean that people think that movie is good.
That means
that's part of the problem.
That means that hot rights happens. Okay, when you're hot, it doesn't matter.
She looks great. What's she like 50? She looks fantastic.
Still.
Elektra is a cool character. Also,
her being hot doesn't make that movie any good, but
it does make it good. Yeah, I mean, yes, it absolutely being hot absolutely can make a movie better.
I tell you what, I have a real soft spot
slightly
in my
better,
heart
not good though,
for that shitty Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. have a real soft spot in my, mostly because it was on FX. It was just on FX.
I love that lecture. You may continue. I see what you're saying, but I had a great time. I think the story was great on the Elektra film, and Elektra's great, but like, sure, it didn't all come together well, but I liked Elektra. I was
I
ecstatic.
just shout out to Jennifer Garner. Never turned down a check. Like for who, for
Nope.
what? I'm taking them all.
She is she's a champion at the bank. I'll tell you that much. Or whatever Chase commercial that she's doing.
What's in your wallet?
Exactly. Capital, is it Capital One? Anyway,
Capital One.
Tej, you have some complaints and thoughts.
I had a good time too. This movie is a comedy. I guess it's like a buddy cop comedy, like 48 hours. Like so
More or less, yeah.
It's funny. The needle drops are funny, and there's a lot of good pop songs in it. I laughed the entire time, and yeah, I felt empty when I left the movie theater. I felt completely empty. Like it was. I enjoyed it when I was there. I had a good time, and the second I walked out of the movie theater, I felt so empty.
It's like Panda Express.
I find it very funny what people like Panda Express, and I love Panda Express, so I'm not
Panda
flattering them.
Express
That's a
is
great
not-
comparison.
It's not good, but okay.
Don't do that.
It's good. It's good for what it is.
It was. They needed a hit. They got a hit, and this is like a safe double. And I know that feels weird to hear about their first rated R movie. Like this, I will give them their credit. Like Feige was not involved in the making of this film. This is a real Deadpool movie. It is rated R. They're not pulling any punches. This is actually tonally a Deadpool movie. It's not like a Disney-fied version of a Deadpool movie. And for that, I will give them massive amounts of credit because that was my biggest fear when it was announced that we're just going to get a sanitized version of Deadpool. We'll slap an R rating on there because a couple of people say the B word, but really it's going to be way less tame than a Deadpool movie.
Remember they did a recut of the second Deadpool movie that was PG-13 and released it on Christmas when like the Fox merger happened?
They did. It's
Just
called Once Upon a Time in Deadpool or something like that.
Yeah, Once Upon a Deadpool or something like that. Yeah.
So I thought this was going to be a sanitized version of Deadpool, and it was very clear from early on in that first scene, which was extremely, extremely bloody, that this is a real rated R Disney movie, and I give them props for that. It's always great to see Ryan Reynolds, and his joke style really works for me. That's why I like the first two Deadpool movies. Hugh Jackman is just phenomenal in his role, and seeing them together for the first time is really cool. But I found myself feeling like every time we had a hard Wolverine scene where we have to actually let Hugh Jackman express some real emotion, as a different emotion than anger or being upset with Deadpool.
Be an actual actor.
Yeah, I was like, wow, Hugh Jackman, great actor. I'm really enjoying that. But holy shit, that doesn't fit this movie at all. Like, it just doesn't fit in this movie at all. Because in the Deadpool movies, there are moments where Ryan Reynolds has to be sad. And even in this movie, there are moments of levity with Ryan Reynolds where he's got to come to grips with the fact that somebody he loves is in danger. That's usually what puts him into these emotional states. Or he's got cancer. He's got to figure out what to do with that. So there are moments where Ryan Reynolds has to act too. But the moments where Hugh Jackman had to act, I was like, this is great acting. And I feel nothing because I'm watching a Deadpool movie and this just doesn't fit here. I felt that way more often than not when we try to dip into the 3 or 4 scenes that we actually gave Jackman to do something cool. The fight scenes in this movie are incredible, except for I'm not sure how much I liked we're fighting a whole bunch of Deadpools. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a funny gag to make him come back. But if I'm being honest, I enjoyed seeing him fight a bunch of nobodies to Bye, and seeing him fight literally Wolverine way more than I enjoyed seeing them fight 100 Deadpools. I was fine with most of the cameos.
Did you like the van sex scene?
The van sex,
that was awesome.
The van sex scene, which was immediately I pegged as like, this is definitely a sex scene, which is a very funny way to put a sex scene in the movie.
It's like the last Mission Impossible when they're driving the car. Like that's the sex scene.
The car's rocking, like it's definitely a sex scene. I was fine with the cameos for the most part. I love seeing Wesley Snipes pop up. I mean, I just love Wesley Snipes. He's one of my favorite actors ever, which is why I hate that I have to kick his back in on this podcast. But I will get to that later. I'd love seeing Wesley Snipes. I thought what's his face was incredibly funny as Gambit, and Deadpool not being able to understand anything he said was just like a hilarious bit that never got old for me. Like that was funny to me every time. I loved seeing Evans pop up in a different role, and the bit they do in the post-credit scene, spoiler alert again, where he actually said all that stuff that Deadpool said he said was extremely funny, like a very funny way to frame that scene. Garner, I really like seeing her pop up. I like Jennifer Garner. She's cool. I don't think that it's just weird to me that we have a guy who played Blade, who people love Blade, a guy who was supposed to play Gambit that people want to see but never got the chance, and then Jennifer Gardner, who is in one of the worst comic book movies ever through no fault of her own. I thought it was weird, like okay, Elektra's in the MCU. That's pretty cool to see her, but also like it doesn't change the fact that we hate that movie. And I would have respected it more if they started making fun of the fact that we hate that movie, but they didn't. They kind of pulled the punch there, and I felt like they pulled the punch there, and I didn't feel like there was if you're going to put her on the screen, then like have her like go with the joke of her movie is a piece of shit.
Because we don't like the movie, that's why.
No, everybody hates the movie except for you, Monique. The movie is very well hated.
I think that has like an all-time low.
We don't hate the movie.
I think that has
if we can
all-time
make jokes
low
about the first
Rotten
Deadpool
Tomatoes.
performance and how everybody hated that portrayal of Deadpool, why can't we make fun of the fact that Jennifer Gardner was in the worst superhero movie of all time, other than Catwoman? Like, why can't we do that?
Really different time periods. First,
it's not worse than the Eternals, so I should take that back. The Eternals is much worse.
No, it is. Do you want
The Eternals is much
to?
worse.
Do you want to guess what the Rotten Tomatoes score is on Elektra?
11.
7.
Oh my God, it is 11. How did you know that?
I didn't. I just guessed. I knew it had to be extremely low.
And a 29% audience score. So Mo, you are literally
I'm carrying
one
this.
of the 29 people.
Yuck.
250,000 audience ratings, and it's a 29%. People fucking hate that movie.
But we love Jennifer Garner, so we let her.
We do love Jennifer Garner, and I'm not. It has nothing to do with Jennifer Garner. She's great.
It is strange. Those are the cameos, like the bit of the Channing Tatum thing. I'll talk about in a bit. Like, I mean, it is a funny bit.
The Gambit.
The Gambit.
Nice.
Is funny if you know.
Yes, if you know.
Which is akin to the thing that we hate from The Flash, which was if you know that Nicolas Cage was cast as Superman, then you get it.
The problem with the Nicolas Cage Superman
it was
thing
serious. I get it, but
it was serious, and also it was like the worst CGI you've ever seen.
That's true. It wasn't a real person, so
it
yeah,
had nothing to do with the fucking movie. He just showed his face, his badly CGI'd face for 30 seconds.
That third act of The Flash almost ruined my life. Like, it's that bad.
But you get what I'm saying is you had to have known.
You had to have known. Although I don't think this is quite the same because even if you don't know that he was supposed to be Gambit, you know that he's Channing Tatum. You know he doesn't take himself too seriously, and you know he's speaking with the absolute worst accent of all time. So even if you don't know anything about Gambit or the history of casting that character, I think that stuff is still funny just because Ryan Reynolds plays it so perfectly but like Channing Tatum is playing it earnestly and Ryan Reynolds is just shitting on it. That's what that to me, that was extremely funny. The dynamic between those two people was really funny. They both played their role perfectly. I really enjoyed that part.
Tatum just now does this. Like he's the Matt Damon now.
Yeah,
I was going to say, he's the new Matt Damon. I will be in your movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll pull up to your movie, bros. Like,
he hasn't starred in a movie until like this year with Fly Me to the Moon and what was formerly Pussy Island, which is now
he is starring in Pussy Island. Well, what's it called now?
Was it called Pussy Island?
It was called Pussy Island, but they changed the name.
I'm glad they did that.
Keep the
by
title.
his old lady, right?
No, Pussy Island should have been the name. That's a perfectly fine name for a movie.
Why do we keep saying pussy? What's going on here?
The movie was called Pussy Island, that Channing Tatum movie, the one.
Oh, Blink Twice.
Blink Twice, yes. What's her face is directing it.
The one where he's like in that party or whatever, and like
yeah,
I've seen the trailer.
The Catwoman is directing it. I forgot her name.
Yeah, what if Saltburn was good?
Yeah, that's
what if Saltburn was directed by a black woman as opposed to a white woman, basically?
Saltburn is good.
No, it's not.
Can't believe it. Guys, we've really departed here.
What if Saltburn was directed by a black woman? Way more interesting.
I draw the line at Saltburn.
What'd you say, Dex?
I was willing to let you have Elektra, but I draw the line at Saltburn.
You got to draw the line at both of those. Those are both terrible films.
Why don't men like Saltburn? It's a problem. We already addressed.
Well, because it's a bad movie.
I was there for this. So.
We did this whole bit. You can go listen.
She hasn't made a good movie yet. like when she makes a good
No,
one, I will
not a
acknowledge her.
single good film.
But she hasn't made one yet. She doesn't make good films.
Woman.
She stinks. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I kind of was empty calories, but empty calories is a great way to make a lot of money at the box office. Empty calories in a good, universally loved movie like this is exactly what they needed. I think it was in a lot of ways extremely easy. It's obviously extremely funny that the Deadpool character and the Deadpool franchise, which was one making fun of all the comic book movie tropes, is also trying to do that while also trying to make one of those. And I agree with Mo that you feel that tension in the movie sometimes as opposed to making fun of the movie that we're making, we could just make the better choice. I was completely floored by the fact that I didn't care about any of these villains. Matthew McFadden, he probably doesn't have a bigger fan in this world than me and the stuff he did at Succession. They gave him nothing to do. Every time he opened his mouth, it was just an exposition dump. I could not, like, that was infuriating to me. I know how good this guy is. I know how funny this guy could be. And you brought him on set. You paid his price. You paid him this money just to make him dump exposition. He literally doesn't even make jokes. Rarely. He has nothing to do. Bootleg Charles Xavier's sister. She's bald. She's doing cool stuff with her fingers, but I couldn't give a shit about what was happening with her on the screen. I didn't care about these villains at all. So that part of the movie felt very hollow to me. I was going to give it a B. But in listening to y'all talk about what you like about the movie, it has made me slightly even lower on the movie. I'm gonna go a B-. I had a good time. I laughed a lot, and if this was a straight comedy that I went to go see, if this was super bad, this could be an A+. But I'm expecting more from a comic book movie. It did look great. The action scenes were cool, not anything super crazy. But I just like seeing Wolverine on screen. I just like seeing Deadpool on screen. Seeing them fight and interact was really cool, but overall, I just felt like it felt like you said how many people, 5, 6 people wrote the script. It feels like that. It feels like a script that got passed around and different people cared about different parts of the movie and emphasized different parts of the movie. You can tell Ryan Reynolds was like, these jokes work, these jokes don't work. He did a great job at that. The joke person, the people who wrote the jokes out of the movie knocked it out of the fucking park. The people who wrote the plot side of the movie, the people who wrote the TVA side of the movie, which it was a complete, I have no idea what we're supposed to think about the TVA now that we know that Kang exists and we know the TVA only existed to give outcomes to Kang. Now that Kang is gone and we don't acknowledge the fact that he's gone, but now we know he's gone officially because we changed the name of his movie. I don't know how to feel about the TVA, what they're trying to accomplish. This movie damn sure doesn't tell you any of that shit. I have a lot of nits, so I had to go B-. But I did have a good time at the movie theater, and that's at the end of the day, Marvel needed something where people could say, "I had a good time at the movie theater," and I think that they did that, and I think that's why they're making so much money. I give it a B-.
It's like when I go to eat dairy, like my tummy will hurt afterwards, but I had a really good time.
Yes, that's a perfect comparison, Monique.
Yeah, I shouldn't be doing this, and it's not great afterwards, but it's brilliant and perfect.
But when you're drinking that milkshake, you're in heaven.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And then
what's the slogan on the t-shirt? All hot girls have tummy issues.
Very, very, very true. My tummy always hurts. It was hurting yesterday. I was out at a party. I was like, damn, my tummy hurts in the middle of me being sexy at this party. That's crazy. Anyways. Yeah.
I will say this movie reminded me like what we do this whole Ryan Reynolds thing for, because like in between the Deadpool movies, it's like, man, we do a lot of Ryan Reynolds shit.
Yeah.
Like he's always doing the Deadpool bit, like even when he's like just supposed to be a regular person.
How much money does this guy make? And does anyone have like a clear understanding of his significant and clear ascension? Like he's constantly winning in this industry.
I don't get it.
What is it?
You watch, a Deadpool movie and you're like, oh yeah, I do like him.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's literally Deadpool and then like carrying that through other people where people are like, I love Deadpool. So he's kind of continued to do that bit. Is
Deadpool responsible for the Ryan Reynolds like empire?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, he was always sort of the Van Wilder, quick-witted.
He was Van Wilder, which is Deadpool. Like these are all very similar characters.
Like okay. I kind of think that he's a more underrated actor if you go and you watch some of his more dramatic stuff, like which he hadn't done in a while. But if you go and look at it, like Trapped and Buried and some other really dramatic work. Like I think he's really, really good. If given the right script, I think he could do something. The problem is he's like super handsome too. But he would need the sort of Brad Pitt Once Upon a Time in Hollywood role to really, I think, put him on a different trajectory.
Yeah, he would cook there.
Yeah, but his trajectory is literally like he bombs really hard in the mid 2000s. There's really great articles about him, being like Ryan Reynolds is dead. Like it's like a Rolling Stone article about how like his movie stardom is dead. It's done. We tried it. It's over. He kind of wanders around the wilderness for a little while. He leaks the Deadpool footage because everybody's like, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
He finally admitted that this week, by the way.
Yeah. He's been admitting it for like 10 years.
They made test footage for Deadpool. He leaked it because he had already played Deadpool and people hated it. He leaked test footage for Deadpool, and all of a sudden they were like, we have to get this movie made. And he was very instrumental, not just in that aspect, but also literally the writing and the making of the character. So obviously he's very close to the character.
Yeah.
And he has fashioned the Deadpool character in his own image. Like the reason why he's playing Deadpool and everything is because he made Deadpool into Ryan Reynolds. Like it's not the opposite. He didn't make Deadpool and go, oh, this is what people like. I'll just keep doing this. He made Deadpool in the shape of his own image. So now I can go on the set for Free Guy and everybody knows what I'm doing because I'm just doing the Deadpool thing. I'm just going to change the character a little bit, but it's going to be the same shtick, the same joke a minute. And once he realized that, it's gold. So I'm just going to keep hitting the gold button, and it works for him. I totally get why people like him.
I liked Free Guy.
I did too, and I think a lot of people it's the same Sean Levy. Sean Levy directed that movie too.
Sean Levy too, yep.
Yeah, so like a lot of people hate that movie. Like, of course, like film Twitter hates that movie.
It's empty calories, but
it's the same thing as like empty calories.
Yeah.
But he's had sort of like he hasn't really tried to stretch his wings outside of doing stuff that people really like him for, because I think he was so hurt by like taking swings that did not work in the mid 2000s that he's like, fuck this. I'm going to be the Mint Mobile guy and make $1 billion and own a soccer team, which is like, if you watch Welcome to Wrexham, he's actually really sincere. He still kind of does the bit for the camera, but he's actually a really sincere, thoughtful guy. And him and Rob McElhenney are really like not what they are in their front facing,
content.
Yeah. Front facing press junkets, what do you want to call it? Face. Yeah. They're not doing that all the time in that show. And I think that you really get a good look at kind of who he is, like as like a person, and a person that has like 4 kids and is married and is trying to like really progress how he's, figure out how to progress with this stardom. They don't go too deep into it, but he's actually like a real person on these press junkets, not a real person. It's unbelievable.
Deadpool.
Yeah, he's Deadpool. And that has since carried over into his movies to take a long-winded explanation of what this has become. Deadpool has now infiltrated what Ryan Reynolds is. And, it's the same as like Hitman's Bodyguard and all those movies that still made, $100 million because he has now become box office.
What's the one he made with the little? Remember the one with the boy where they were switching identities?
Adam Project.
The Adam Project. That's what it was.
We'd reviewed that on this movie, and it kind of stunk. But it was also him trying to be a little bit more emotional.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's where he was trying to be sincere, and I think we all said like this movie doesn't really work. But when he's trying to be sincere, it actually works. Like it's not his fault that this movie doesn't work, or at least in those scenes where he's trying to be the more sincere version of himself, that stuff works too. Like he's got more chops than he shows. But if people want him to play the hits, then he's gonna play the hits. That's just what he's gonna do.
I mean,
if we ever lose him and Blake Lively, love is dead, and there's no hope for any of us.
I don't keep up with his marriage and that part of his life. I don't keep up with that.
I had a great time in 6 Underground. I definitely want to see if
greatest movie of all time. I'm glad that you said that, Monique.
6 Underground stinks.
6 Underground is the greatest movie of all time. That shit is incredible.
But Red Notice was terrible. I don't even know if I think I finished it.
And that's where it like kind of goes off the rails though too, where it's like I don't even know how to describe it, in that it's a bad premise and he's still doing the Ryan Reynolds thing. That's where you're sort of like, ugh.
Yeah,
This
there's a way
is
you
this
see
is
it in a
grating.
different light. Yeah.
I think I'm just a hater, honestly. Like, I would love to have a career where I could like put out a bunch of mid, and then like y'all are so good with like the fact that I'll put out the fire that y'all know I can, and you'll just deal with the mid for as long as I do it in a minute. That's impressive. Like the Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Goslings and Glenn Powells of the world. Like,
Hold on.
Wait a
super
minute.
impressed.
Wait a
we're not
minute.
doing
No,
We're not doing
I'm
that.
super impressed.
We're not doing that. We're not
I'm
doing
not-
that to Gosling, and we damn sure not doing that to
Ryan
our new
Gosling.
king. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
I'm just saying the Ryans.
You saw what he did in Barbie, and you saw what he did in La La Land. That man is cinema, brothers. Ryan Gosling's got it, bro. Don't do
Ryan
that.
Gosling
Don't-
is him. Ryan Gosling
got
saved
it.
an entire Oscar
If
ceremony.
Ryan Gosling is him, Ryan Reynolds is him. What are
And
we talking
don't say anything about Glenn Powell. We only respect Glenn Powell on this podcast. Put some respect on that. That is our new overlord. You
I
respect
see.
his name.
I see the bit that you're doing, and I don't appreciate it.
She's just hating on all men. Don't buy it. Don't buy into her bit at all. Especially when she defended Elektra in the same sentence. Don't do that. Don't do that.
And Saltburn. No,
Those
no.
And
are
Supper,
sentences,
yuck.
number one.
You're also hating on
I'm
like
just
tall,
saying.
blonde, white dudes, and I don't appreciate that at all.
I just feel like at one point we had Brad Pitt, and now we have Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds, and Glenn Powell.
That is kind of fair, though.
Which is fine, but
I don't
like
think that's fair at all.
I don't.
Because one-
I back in my.
We still have Leo, and we still have Brad Pitt. It's not like Brad Pitt's gone.
Despite his best efforts, he's still
definitely.
here.
He has tried
Like
to
I
be
could
gone.
be on the other side of the camera, guys, please. I don't know, guys. I feel very strongly about that, and no shade. Like I do think Ryan Gosling.
It sounded like shade.
Glenn Powell films have been great. No, I said I was a hater. I'm being a hater. Like I would love to have that career. Wow, so impressive. But
You love Twisters, so don't start throwing around the word mid when you're about to call Twisters the greatest movie of the last 10 years. Don't do that. You called Twisters this year's Titanic 20 minutes ago.
look, it wasn't because of Glenn Powell though, although he was perfect in it. Oh, now I'm a Glenn Powell fan. But guys, it's been a while. Y'all have been on Glenn Powell for a long time. I just got here. Like I'm not into
Welcome.
I showed you anyone but you. I gave you
I
everything
don't
you need
like
to
his
see.
profile. If you're not sexy from the side, I don't. Whatever. Let's move on. Go
Uh,
ahead. Go ahead and give us your thing.
I'm with you, Tej. I'm at a B minus. It's like empty calories. You said it's like 10 beers on a Friday night with your boys at the bar, but then you like strike out with every girl that's ever walked in.
Oh my God, this is
Damn.
perfect.
It's like I saw my boys. I hadn't seen my boys in a long time, but every girl here hates me.
Sometimes you just
Sometimes it be like that.
Like that. Yeah, like I just think, and not to say there are a ton of women, and I was in there with my wife who loved the film too, liked the film too, that were in there deep watching the movie. I'll say that.
Did it smell crazy in there?
But I will also say every Deadpool screening I have ever been in smells fucking wild. It smells crazy in every Deadpool screening I've ever been in. It smells like the midnight release of a GTA film at GameStop.
Oh shit!
Yo, I know that smell.
I know
Yeah.
that smell too.
Right.
It's
It's
not
like-
a good one.
Oh
It's
my
a
God.
sense memory for every millennial that smell has happened. Anyway, if you know, you know.
If
That
you don't
being
know. If you're
yeah.
over 30, you know. And
Yeah,
Exactly.
You know.
I think that
I'm not, but yes.
I had to write this down because I was thinking and we talked about Ryan Reynolds and a lot on this show and the Ryan Reynolds vacation of him. And we've talked about it on previous shows and how I've said I'm sort of like done with the whole thing, only to say that I like it when it's Deadpool. And that's a weird conundrum to be in. It's I thought I was done, then they pulled me back in. And but this is the weirdest part about this movie to me. I loved all the action scenes, especially the ones even going back to the bit of them fighting for no reason. Them and Wolverine's like, you came to see them and Deadpool and Wolverine fight. You came to see that. And so they just go back to the well a couple of times, which I'm whatever, sure. And they're really good fight scenes. That to say, this is, for as meta as Deadpool has been, even in the comics, in this, whatever, this is the most meta online movie that I think I've ever seen. It is so Twitter pilled and Reddit pilled that I could not believe it. It was like the For You page, especially because you know how the like even people you won't follow, like the For You page will pop up and it's like this movie sucks, this movie sucks, this movie is actually good, yada yada yada. That's at least what mine looks like. Tejas is
not mine. Mine is full of a whole bunch
a
of
cesspool
breasts.
But
that's what mine is.
It is the most online sort of thing of like Ryan Reynolds knew what people were going to say about this movie before it came out, mostly because he too is actually really online, and it is commenting on. It's like getting the diss out. It's like the Eminem, like getting the diss out before you can diss me sort of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
And sometimes that works, but sometimes it's a little grating and a little like mean. And Deadpool's mean, I get it, but it's a little the meta-ness of Deadpool had always been about sort of, I don't know, talking about the larger world in its meta-ness, and like talking about the larger studios that be, and how Fox was crumbling, and like all of this thing, and how like, oh, we don't have Disney's budget in this movie, yada yada yada, like that sort of thing. And it's doing that, but this is also talking about like shit posts about Marvel and how Marvel has been in a decline for a long time. And I find that really weird to be like, hey, Marvel fan 69 420 was saying that Marvel is dead and is never coming back. Let's put that joke in here. And like, we don't necessarily have to do that, but that's what I've kind of found weird about this movie. But it's also making fun of people that are really cynical online and irony poisoned. In a roundabout way, it comes back to also being cynical and irony poisoned in its own way. It's so weird. And I guess that's the meta-ness of it. But you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, that's what I was saying. Like,
yeah,
it's like we're making fun of a thing that we could have just not done the thing, or like also, I don't know.
And to this end, and we've been, chugging down the tracks to this happening. And I knew that it was coming. But what this movie states in a larger way, and maybe it's not this deep, but I kind of read into it that it is a little bit deeper than like just surface level they needed a hit. I think it tries to go dig down a little bit deeper in that they brought Hugh Jackman back from the dead. He was dead. And he died in such a significant way in that Logan movie, which, Dex, I don't know if you've seen still, but I think all of us on this love.
Dex, you still haven't seen Logan?
No.
That shit is real cinema. That
must have been a weird start to this movie for you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. And also the other two Deadpool movies where they're making the same jokes. Like,
yeah, it not entirely, but over the events of this weekend, this sort of, and comics do this all the time, take stakes out of everything because there's just another person. There's just another variant. And if someone is dead, we can just if we pay them enough money, we can just pull them over from, oh, that was a different Earth. And we always knew that you could do it. But for some reason to me, even though the gags work, especially with Chris Evans, who I thought was really funny coming back and doing this, it feels a little cheap. And then we have this weekend where Iron Man was dead and no longer.
Iron Man is still dead, brother. Doom is here, but Iron Man is still dead.
Robert Downey Jr. is coming.
You watch your mouth.
Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. And what it kind of signifies to me is that, like, why really form emotional connections with these people in a larger way? And I find that kind of tough because it doesn't ruin the movie for me. And I haven't read enough comics to understand the comic book logic of it all. But that's not how we do movies. You know what I'm saying? That's not how audiences for
No,
100
not at all.
years have been watching movies. And maybe it's something that we now have to adjust to, but it is something that is new. And I'm not sure I'm completely on board with yet, in that he died. So, but surely he'll come back in Secret Wars, 12 or whatever that they make. Surely that, like, surely he'll come back then, or on whatever the fuck Disney Plus shit that we're putting out now. I think that I have such a, not that I wanted to see Hugh Jackman back. That was fun and good. I'm just saying that the emotional weight of
And-
it's not the same Wolverine. It doesn't. Meh.
I mean,
meh.
You gotta start watching some wrestling.
Yeah.
Get used to this.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman was in an entirely different film, and that sentence alone is not always a bad thing, but it's really hard to do that and like succeed. So having Wolverine just be this separate character, which was by design, but it has to work when you do that. So I don't know. I think I get what you're saying, Roy, and I think we're in this movie and we're having a great time, but it's like what, and then you're making fun of the fact that we're all asking, "What are we doing?" But then you're
Right.
not doing anything. So
You're
it's like
literally saying the
also-
multiversal saga is
Just
miss
stop.
after miss after miss, but we're still in the multiversal
We're
saga
still in the
right
most-
now.
So are you? It's just it's like, so you
We're
admit
literally still here.
you? Hi, Dylan. I don't rate movies, but we rated it on this pod out of grades, and I gave it a B minus. I see
Yeah.
Dylan commenting in the
Yeah,
chat.
he's Dylan's asking, he's like, isn't the point of fiction that you can do whatever you want though? Yes, but also that's just not how movies have been made. And I know that you can scoff at that and say like,
There has-
that, oh well, it wasn't something until it was,
You can
things
do
weren't
whatever-
where they were until they were. But you know what I'm saying?
You can do whatever you want until like I can no longer be invested in what happens to characters anymore because you're gonna do whatever you want with it. So like,
That's what yeah.
die? Do they really die? If they live forever, do they really live forever? Like you're getting me invested in these characters, and I can't because you're gonna do whatever you want. That's the point, Dylan. I think. But yeah.
Can I, while we're griping, can I do my Wesley Snipes thing?
Yeah, do your Wesley Snipes thing. I will say real quick, just to wrap up my long-winded review of this, I had a good time. That's the bitch of this movie. Is that I was like, man, that was fun. That was so fun. I like seeing Deadpool do his thing. I love the action scenes. I will say, I don't think Sean Levy has any juice whatsoever. And maybe that's I think he's kind of like
Sean Levy. I'm so sorry, sweetie.
Broad checked.
I think he's kind of like he's really like a journeyman director. I just don't think he has like sort of any eye for anything.
You are not him.
I was not expecting that at all.
I mean,
I watched the second one. There's some horrendous CGI in that, but what's his who he did Bullet Train. And David Leitch does the second one. Go look at it. He tries. This one's like that. Fuck it, green screen. Like.
Yeah,
I just don't think he has any visual palette to any of his movies. I think he's like a good workman director for what he does.
Like to see Wolverine in the snow to bye with the snow going on.
That was filmed on a back lot in Los Angeles.
That was on the green screen for sure.
Yeah, so cool though. It looked so cool.
Anyway,
let's get the Wesley Snipes cry.
Yeah, do your Wesley Snipes thing.
All right. So first of all, like I said, I love Wesley Snipes. We were talking about Passion 57. You're talking about White Man Can't Jump. You're talking about Blade. Wesley Snipes is one of our great American movie stars ever. We're talking about Money Train. We're talking about New Jack City. I love Wesley Snipes. Seeing him pop up was a lot of fun.
All-time tax evader too.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, we need to get better lawyers and people. Hopefully, he's got that situated. That was a bad situation, but I love Wesley Snipes.
Him and Nick Cage are incredible.
Hearing him say, "There's only ever been one Blade, and there will only ever be one Blade," in a Marvel movie in the exact time in which we already have another Blade casted and that movie is in production hell. I didn't even think the movie was happening until Feige commented on the movie yet again this week, days before this movie came out, that Blade will be rated R. What are we doing with Blade? Is this a way of, are we transitioning away from Mahershala? Is it Mahershala's fault that I've been hearing in the streets, and Monique heard the same thing, that some of the reason or all of the reason why the movie is in hell is because of Mahershala? I find that hard to believe. I find that extremely hard to believe, actually, with such a major company and all these people attached and then detached from it and directors leaving. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Blade, but at the time where Blade is literally grasping for air to be made, I thought it was very, very nasty for a black male superstar to take a shot at another black male superstar who, by the way, when it was announced that Mahershala was going to play that character, Wesley Snipes was all in support and tweeted support about it. So I just thought it was weird. Like, I didn't feel like it was a joke. I felt like it was a statement of intent. And it's like, okay, now I don't feel like we're having fun. Now I don't feel like we're making a joke. Now I feel like we're kicking this black man's back in. Maybe it is Mahershala's fault that Blade's in production hell. I don't know. But that's not the way the public sees it. And I think something like this, which is meant to be a joke in a movie full of jokes, we could look back at that in a couple years down the line once we have more information about what's going on and look at it as a very nasty thing. I didn't like it. I didn't feel like it was in the spirit of all the other jokes, especially with people care about Blade as a character. And of course we love Wesley Snipes. It has nothing to do with Wesley Snipes. He's got to make the decision to say the line, but somebody had to write the line too. So it's more about everybody. It's not just about Wesley. I thought it was an extremely weird look, and it completely took me out of the movie for at least 5 minutes. I could not believe that he said it. My mouth was agape. I was like, so we're not even going to acknowledge the fact that we have a Blade casted already for Blade. Like, we have a new Blade that's already casted. Maybe he'll never play Blade. Maybe he was never going to play Blade anyway, and the joke is just a way of smoothing that over. Maybe. But with the public not knowing exactly what the status is on Blade, I thought it was a weird jab to take, and I didn't like it.
It's a very in the moment joke, in like
extremely in the moment,
and in like 10 years or 5 years, if that movie ever comes out, we're gonna be like, people who haven't seen it are gonna be like, what? Like, what does this mean? And a lot of those jokes are gonna be the same too. Like, Deadpool movies are very in the moment. Obviously, that is the wink to the camera of all of it, but it is strange. I don't know.
Go ahead, Dex.
I was gonna say, to me, it felt like kayfabe. Like, it felt like pure, like, this is a character. This is a work. Like, that it's meant for the audience to be like, oh yeah, like, I get it. Like, just like everything else in this movie. It's like, if you know. People who don't pay attention to this shit every day and aren't like reading every discussing film tweet about whether Blade is going to get made or not. I don't think we're sitting there like, oh my God, there's only going to be one Blade. I think everyone was just like, oh yeah, I know we're waiting on a Blade movie. It feels like something the old Blade would have said. Like, it feels in character.
Thank you, Dad.
I wasn't thinking that much about it. But I can see where y'all are coming from.
I'm completely on the opposite end. Like, Teej, like, I watched, I was like, you know what, that was a really cool, fun, in the moment line. Like, Blade would say it, Wesley Snipes would say it. I don't think it was a shot at anybody. I think, and if it was, like, it works because then you talk about it more. But I don't think it was a shot. I think we had a great time. I think Blade should talk like that. And Blade didn't get that many lines in the movie as is, so let him talk his shit, like, Blade, like, let him talk his shit, like, Blade is Blade, so I don't know. I had a good time with it. That it didn't bother me that much. So yeah, it didn't take me out of the movie at all. But
it's a funny. I thought, I was like, oh damn, because then Reynolds looks directly into camera. Like,
yeah, he does. He literally looks directly into the camera like, oh shit.
Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't like think too much about it, other than to say, like, that's gonna age weirdly, so one way or another. Like, I don't know what the end goal of that's going to be, but whatever.
Right. If he's not the only Blade, then what?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like also it's fine.
Yeah,
Really, also, he's in the literal void wasteland bullshit, never to be thought about again. Like, yeah, it's fine.
Can we please stop using the void like as a plot device, please? Please.
I agree fully.
It is just a big red sign to the viewer of, hey, nothing that happens here means anything at all. Like, I didn't particularly like when we went to the void in Loki, but it was in a great TV show, so I was fine with the departure. But in this movie, I was like, oh, we're going to the fucking void again? This shit again? That only half of this movie theater knows what the fuck this even is because only half of this movie theater has ever watched a Disney Plus show.
You mean from Loki season 1, episode 5?
Oh, he did say that. He
I
did
thought
say
that
that.
was so good.
You got the line.
The joke was good, though. The joke was good.
Lines. I love that line. You mean from season 1, episode 5? Like, I loved it. I love that. But again, only us nerds would understand.
So one thing, and then we'll move on to Twisted. We could talk about this movie forever. And I don't think we need to be losing our shit over it online, like pooping your pants over it online.
I agree, guys. Calm down. It's fun.
Lame
it's
and
funny.
weird
Go
to
have
be
fun.
doing that. Go have fun. Yeah, stop pooping your pants over this. But and if you're like, this is the worst movie all the time, you have a big dump in your pants. I can't keep
Then
doing
you've
it.
never seen Eternals. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's
This
good
movie
that they haven't seen
killed my
Eternals.
hope for cinema.
Yeah.
Talking about.
Yeah.
Are people really saying that? There's no-
Yes. My For You page is a trash heap of just people being like, this is the worst thing that has ever come out.
What?
just
No,
like-
it isn't. It was hilarious.
It's not even the worst Marvel movie in the last 2 Marvel movies. And I gave the Marvels more compliments than most people. And
Yeah.
this
I
is not
like
the
the
worst
Marvels.
movie.
I
that-
like
the Marvels is fine. Like it's
Wait, which one?
it's fine.
Eternals or the Marvels?
No,
Oh,
the Marvels. The Marvels was the last movie they put out.
yeah, the Marvels. Yeah.
It's fine. And Kamala Khan is still a star, and I still want Kamala Khan in the Avengers. I will not stop until Kamala Khan is a part of the Avengers. 2 new Avengers movies got announced. Love that. Love that we're bringing in Doom. But what we really need to do is bring in Kamala Khan, make sure she is centered, her family is centered, and then we'll have a good time.
Except for their dad,
I'm just
whoever,
gonna-
if y'all know about that. But anyway.
Wait, what?
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 It's not a Brie Larson.
What does that mean?
Have you not heard?
Yeah, Brie Larson stinks. Let's decenter Brie Larson.
I don't want to like get
Recenter
into
Kamala
it
Khan.
It's not a Brie
on this
Larson.
podcast, but the guy that played her dad is a creep. So in the movie,
Oh no!
Is he about to get Jonathan Majors? I don't know anything about this.
I mean, he's not that famous, but like he's like,
So he's gonna have it even worse.
he's gonna have like a regular dude prison
Yeah.
sentence.
No one
Uh,
you can't get
That
canceled.
sucks. I liked that guy. What? I hate this. I hate that you
They're
told
just
me. I
gonna,
did not
they're
know
just
that.
gonna put a new dude in
Are
there.
we about to talk about Twisters?
Yeah, they're just gonna slide another brown dude in there.
He's
Are we
gonna get
gonna
out
talk
there.
about Twisters? I have things to say about Twisters.
We got to talk about Twisters because I don't know how long Mo is gonna be with
Yeah,
us.
let's
But
do
real quick-
Twisters.
Real quick, it is interesting that the only people that they like brought back from that they decided didn't die from the nether regions or whatever the fuck that was called, the void, is Daphne Keene as who we haven't even talked about as X-23, who speaks English now in this movie, by the way. But it's like we need another person for Young Avengers or Young X-Men or whatever, so we just brought her back.
She got a
Right.
bigger pop in
Yeah.
our theater than Jennifer Gardner did. And
Yeah.
Jennifer Gardner is a much, much, much more famous person. But
Yeah.
when X-23 came out, she got a very large pop.
Yeah, she
That's because everybody knows that Logan is real cinema except for Dex. Dex
She
knows
also
knows
did
everybody
what-
else.
did nothing for me.
That is unfucking believable that you have not watched that movie. It's unreal. So I just had to say that, but they killed off all the ones, including Channing Tatum, who still, I swear to God, wants that movie so badly. Wants that. What was it?
The fucking cards on Gambit look so
Gambit,
fucking cool. The way they made the cards look,
It actually
the way
looked
they
good.
did his powers looks so fucking cool. So fucking
But I'm good on a Gambit movie personally.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't,
I
especially.
don't
if
care about a
it-
Gambit movie.
I don't need a Channing Tatum Gambit movie, especially. No thanks. Like
Hearing that accent for an entire film, I'm okay.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. It was good as a joke. I wouldn't want to hear 30 lines of dialogue with that voice. No, I would not want to.
Also good as an action set piece. But all that to say, the actual biggest movie of the year is Twisters, because we fucking told y'all.
Cinema is back. We've been telling y'all for fucking months that shit was going to bang. And it banged even harder than I could have imagined. We are back. Cinema is alive and well.
Twisters came out a couple of weeks ago. PG-13 movie, 7.1 on IMDb, 65 Metascore. A retired tornado chaser and meteorologist is persuaded to return to Oklahoma to work with a new team and new technologies. Directed by Lee Isaac Chung. His follow-up to 2021's Oscar-nominated Minari, which is a hell of a follow-up.
Hell yeah, brother! I didn't realize he did that.
Yeah,
he's
Minari.
On a streak right now. He's cooking right now.
Minari, great movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's on Hulu. Written by Mark L. Smith and Joseph Kosinski. So there's a reason that Glenn Powell is in this, because our Top Gun guys rule movies, actually. Daisy Edgar Jones, who I've been saying on this podcast, I've had stock in for now 4 years, and, just cashing that out like Apple.
She knocked this out of the park. She was phenomenal.
Good for me. Glenn, and like all the hottest and youngest actors in Hollywood, pretty much. Daisy Edgar Jones, Glenn Powell, Anthony Ramos, Brandon Pereira. Let's see,
David Cornsweet, Superman.
Yeah, Superman's in here. Sasha Lane, Kieran Shipka is in here as well, and then Tunde Adebimpe and Nick Dodani. I'm terrible at names. And then Maura Tierney. She's cool to see. Shout out to her for being in here. And then a random Paul Scheer appearance. But anyway, all that to say, it's kind of slowed a little bit, but people weren't really projecting that Twisters would be a huge hit. The projections were that it would be like a $40 to $50 million opening for Twisters. Like,
those projections lied.
It made $80 million.
My dog.
It made $80 million domestically. Its opening weekend. It's since gone to $220 million on a $155 million budget. But
good God,
to say for a legacy sequel, which was a huge hit back in the day, it would have made close to $1 billion in 2024 dollars. But was a big hit in 96, but kind of came around to being a beloved movie.
Mm-hmm.
All that to say, it's not one that you go back and you're like, yeah, the sequel to Twister is going to make $300 million in 2 weeks or something like that. That's just not something that people projected. All that to say, 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, 92% audience score, summoning a storm of spectacle and carried along by the gale force winds of Glenn Powell's charisma. Twister's forecast is splendid with a high chance of thrills. Mo, you were swayed by White Boy Summer. How's it feel?
Man, I had a time. What a great movie. I had the time of my life. And unfortunately, yeah, White Boys, y'all are up by 2 right now.
It's unbelievable. I didn't think we had it in us.
Yeah, you guys got me. I'm watching you guys. I'm in. Glenn Powell is carrying the team, okay? I still don't like his side profile. Love you, Glenn Powell. But, just work on your side profile. Wow. We had a great time. So here's the thing. It's so unique, right? It's so cool how things change. 40X did not exist probably 5-10 years ago. How
definitely not 10.
I mean, it
Maybe
existed at
5.
It existed at Disney rides.
Yeah, but didn't exist in the movie theater until the last 5 to 7 years.
The last 5 to 10 years. So I think it's so cool. And so I struggle with this because I'm like, would I have had such an amazing time if I wasn't swinging around the entire time?
That's a big caveat.
Also, all-time tweet by you two, Jesus Christ. I'm not going to bring it up, but y'all can find it. Whoa.
That
anyway.
was Monique's tweet, not mine.
Yeah, 40X.
She's a sicko. It was your tweet.
I didn't tweet anything.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I can find it. I can put it on the stream.
You literally did. What are you talking about?
We're a house of God.
Anyway, don't worry about it.
A podcast of God.
I had the time of my life. So if 40X was I don't know, 40X is 115 because I got curved on extra scale, then I guess without 40X it might have been 100. I had no notes. There was never a time where I was out of the film. I think the only thing that I didn't struggle with it. I actually loved it. I'm so we're letting the white guys be the hot ones here. And not to say that our girl isn't hot because she's very hot, but it wasn't the focus. And so we didn't make her the hot person. We made Glenn Powell the hot tornado storm chaser. And I was like, wow, what a bold thing to do. Because like the guys are not that hot, but we made it that in the movie. And I was like, this is really, really cool. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say any names, but there was, I had this conversation. We talked about Twisters at brunch yesterday, and someone did not like it. They said it was an objectively bad movie. They said it was the worst thing ever. And I just couldn't disagree more. I could not disagree more. And then she was like, let me pull up the Rotten Tomatoes score. And I was like, yeah, go ahead and pull up the Rotten Tomatoes score. I don't care about Rotten Tomatoes, but please do. And I was just like, you know, I think that people didn't like it because they're too horny, which is fine. Teach. No shade, Teach. You liked it.
I love this film. You're not talking about me.
Maybe you're not too horny.
People are very horny online for this movie.
The horny people are making some good points, but this movie rules.
I don't know that they're making great points. I watch a lot of film. Every film is a romance, and we knew it immediately in Twisters, which is why I call it the Titanic, because it is a disaster romance movie. That is what Titanic is. But I think that people struggle with how we should express romance, i.e. our horniness, whatever the case may be, because you know, you just want everyone to be horny on screen. And I agree, sex sells, it's sexier, we get it. But I mean, I watched Past Lives, guys. There was no touching, and it was the best movie ever. Okay. Like, I'm okay with just the tension. Like, what happened to the horny bots of 2015 that were like, the anticipation of sex is better than the sex itself? Like, this is your movie right here.
What the fuck is this Wattpad statement? Like, what is this?
Y'all weren't online?
No, I was. I know what you're talking about.
Every 3 months for the past 10 years. Okay. This is for you guys. But I'm like, it was fine. Like, we ended so much. It was so much fun. Again, I was getting thrown around the whole time. So maybe try to get thrown around the entire time. A+ for me. I had the time of my life. I would go and see it 2, 3, 4 more times. I'm in. We had jump scares and the craziest times. We had amazing visuals. We had, you know, again, I was rocking in my chair and stuff was splashing in my face. Pause. So like everything was really fun for me. But truly the story worked because we got a nerd and we got a hot guy. And usually it's the other way around. And I think it's good to like try new things. So I feel very strongly about this. Everyone that doesn't like this movie is completely wrong. They're completely wrong. You're wrong. If you have any issues with this movie, to where you like don't like it or didn't enjoy it or walked away like, oh, it didn't honor the legacy of 30 years. Like, here's the thing, guys. Like, this Twisters was amazing when it came out 30 years ago, damn near. And this one was exciting too. Like, I mean, we got a bunch of kids doing a bunch of stuff. We got a woman curving a bunch of men. Like, we're having a great time. Okay. Until she didn't curve them. But like, I don't know. I just, A+.
She curved Anthony Ramos.
Yeah. Oh, brother, did she?
And she
His
did
entire life.
She curved
His entire life.
She curved Glenn Powell the whole time too. And we got these 2 cute, sexy, hot guys after this like nerdy girl. And I'm in, bro. Give me more of that. I love it.
It turns out she was horny for the tornado all along.
And that's real cinema. It's the romance actually between her and the tornadoes. The men are just like tertiary, like, you know, they're secondary byproduct, which I love.
Which is a Spielberg note, by the way, which is why they filmed it. You can go online and see the...
Yeah,
like,
that's why people are mad, because they've seen the kiss, which I think is in the trailer or think is somewhere.
I don't know.
There's a kiss out there.
Yeah, no, it was just they had filmed it and somebody shot it behind the scenes in like Oklahoma City Airport.
People knew the kiss happened, so they're mad didn't make it into the final cut.
So, but that's a Spielberg note in that it doesn't like add narrative like progression to the movie, and that it like it takes away from her character, which I tend to agree, but also at the same time, just do it. So, because fuck it,
just do it.
I agree with just do it, but I didn't feel like the movie is missing that either.
Want to kiss you? Was that okay with everyone? If you don't want to kiss,
that is fair. But I will say, she did.
She wanted to kiss him. That's not the issue. She wants to kiss him. It's in the script, but they didn't show the kiss. The kiss happened. They just didn't show it.
When did the kiss happen?
when they're
They filmed
in
the kiss,
mid-
but then nobody did. It was not. It's not in the final cut of the movie. But
So-
everybody has seen the kiss.
It doesn't matter. That's just like it's just like we're watching bloopers. BTS is just okay, fine, but it's not in the movie.
the kiss happened in the middle of the EF5 tornado when they strapped themselves down. That's
Why they got rid of it.
Spielberg,
Oh,
me and you are aligned, sir. I get real simple.
I agree with Spielberg's note, but also if it's me, just kiss. Why not?
There's a couple of things. There's a couple of things here that and I want Tej to give his thoughts. One, I think the complaint is that we kind of live in a post-sex society in our film.
That's 100% true.
It like, especially everybody likes to complain about the Marvel thing and stuff like that. Like it's kind of it is sort of like sexless in a lot of our films, especially in our mainstream films. All that to say, this is a completely inoffensive film, and
the weight of that
fine.
should not be on this film,
right? No, this is whatever. Like this is a completely inoffensive film, in so much that they don't even talk about climate change in this film.
They did, but they didn't.
But kind of like the whisper of climate change.
Yeah.
More tornadoes are happening.
They did politics and Top Gun. It's like high level inoffensive politics. Like, don't offend anyone.
I have to interject here, Royden, just real quick. There was a point in time where everyone was complaining about gratuitous sexuality. So to hear these words out of your mouth is crazy.
What is making those complaints?
Everyone was making complaints about gratuitous sexuality.
Yeah, Christians in the 90s.
Yeah, who's everyone? I don't agree with that.
Y'all are horny. Okay.
I wasn't making those complaints. I've never walked out of a movie like too much sex for me.
I am telling you, yes, because from an awards critic standpoint, there was like feminism and like, why are we doing this? And why do we see so many naked bodies on screen? It was a whole thing about like, what is the actual point? Are we just seeing sex? And that's why TV is getting way more of it now, because they were taking it out of these box office things. That's why we have so much sex in television now. It's the only place we can get it. So like, I don't think we're in a post-sex anything. I think there was so much negativity around the artistry of what a value is for a sex scene that now we're complaining that there's not enough sex in movies. And it's like, what do you guys want?
I think there's a middle point because I think there's a middle point because yes, gratuitousness, if I can say that word, gratuitousness is in itself. Yeah, like we don't like violence, like we don't necessarily need it all the time, or we can tone it down. But somebody just said on Twitter, pretty plain and simply, we used to kiss in movies, and
I'm with it. And I think that affects the press runs too, when you don't feel the romance when the guys are on the red carpet. But I mean, I'm just letting you know, there was just as much noise about a lot of sex as there is now about that there's not.
I believe you. I think, but I do think
it is now that there's that. There was just as much complaints 15
Those complaints were from virgins that we don't care about, though. The real people that are complaining now are the people who are right. We do need more sex in our movies.
Y'all are also not having as much sex as y'all claim, but okay,
that's why I need it on screen. You're making my point for me. That's why I need it on screen.
I think you said it well. The reason why I think we can have that conversation, but it doesn't matter for Twisters, because why are y'all so horny that you're begging for sex or kissing in a Twisters movie?
Yeah, we didn't need it. We didn't need it.
We're in a Twister. We're getting thrown around. It's fine. We got a bunch of students, and then we got some weird YouTube influencers. We don't need the sex and the kisses or whatever. But yeah.
And I think we're all on the same point here. But I'm just saying that's everyone's main complaint. Like the TikTokification of this is that's everybody's like main complaint of the movie.
That shows you how good the movie is that's the complaint. That nobody's talking about plot structure. No one's talking about character development. No one's talking about what the CGI looked like. People are just like, oh, they didn't kiss. You know why they're saying that? Because this film fucking rules.
Because the rest of it rocks.
Now we have my back. Yeah, it's just not serious criticism.
There's no fucking in the movie, but the movie fucks.
Facts.
Love that.
Facts.
Love that. Needs to be on the poster. Tej, real quick, give your takes.
I have been saying on this podcast that Twisters had the potential to be the most ethical sequel of all time, and they literally did everything they need to do to knock it out of the park. We basically have the same plot setup as the first movie, except for we've changed a couple of things that make this movie very different. One, the protagonist's ex-wife is not along for the ride, which was a very funny gag in the first movie. Now
she's great in that movie. I went back. She might be the best character in that movie.
She's phenomenal. So now, as opposed to having two groups of competing scientists, boring nerds, now we have scientists going up against the coolest fucking YouTube influencers you've ever seen. Glenn Powell's got the biggest fucking lifted truck you've ever seen that can strap itself into the ground and shoots fucking rockets. That is cinema, brother. The same dudes who brought you, hey, what if some really hot guys got into an airplane and we filmed that shit up there and we really did that shit, brought you, hey, what happens if we anchor this truck down, put YouTube cameras on it, and shoot rockets up a tornado? And again, they were fucking right that's why I go to the movie theaters. I had so much fun with this movie. The first scene is so harrowing. We got our woman lead who is our protagonist. Just like the first movie, she has a great trauma, so she's obsessed with tornadoes, but she also has a superpower. She knows more than anybody else where the tornado is going to be, except for Glenn Powell, who has the same superpower. He's not just a hunk. He's not just good looking. He's also a fucking super nerdy. He knows his shit about tornadoes. We put them together. She treats him like shit for 95% of the film. He keeps coming back, taking more punches on the chin from this woman who is treating him like complete shit because she's going through a lot. She's not as hot as she is.
She can't figure out her accent.
She's from Oklahoma, but he keeps calling her city girl. They're on dates. Of course, their date gets hit by a twister because why the fuck not? A twister hitting the date is great. Of course,
people are complaining. You wanted them to kiss? No, let a tornado hit them right there.
A tornado hit their fucking first date. It was perfect.
When were they going to kiss? A tornado was there, guys. I'd much rather a tornado come and fuck shit up.
What if we kissed in the empty pool while the trailer?
Yeah, forget
that empty pool scene was so fucking scary, bro.
That shit went crazy.
That empty pool scene was so scary, bro.
That's real romance. You're gonna tell me that you would rather a boring ass kissing, touchy-feely scene than the two scenes we got with our lead where she's clamping onto a pole and there's a twister and the man is behind her helping her? We got two intense romantic scenes there. What do you want them to touch and kiss? I'd rather that.
And the stakes were so high because they had already killed like 17 people in this movie.
They killed everybody on screen. Me and Monique leaned over to each other and goes, oh, one of these people are going to die. No, spoiler alert, all of them niggas died. All of them. I said, oh, shit.
I was shook.
And it's not just all these young kids. These are young up-and-comers of Hollywood. That's such a genius way. This is like, I'm gonna age myself here. Do y'all remember Scream 2? You probably don't. You probably do remember Scream 2, Royden.
Yeah.
But Scream 2 had Brandy in it, and Scream 2 had Jada Pinkett in it. And they threw Brandy and Jada Pinkett. They threw Jada Pinkett all over the posters. Not Brandy. Sorry, that was I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Scream 2 has Jada Pinkett in it, and there's a black. Is it Mekhi?
Well, the first Scream, they just killed Drew Barrymore. Like she's in
the first Scream, they literally murdered Drew Barrymore in the first scene. The second Scream, they tell you, oh, Jada Pinkett's in this one. They throw her all over the ads. She's all in the trailer. She's about half the trailer. You walk into that movie theater, Jada Pinkett is fucking dead in the first 5 minutes. That's how you market a movie. You got all these up-and-coming young people. The guy that plays Superman, he's in our movie. David, Kiernan Shipka, you like her? She's in our movie. We got all these cool young faces. They're having a fucking great time. They're out there chasing tornadoes. They're on top of the world. They're living their fucking best life. All of a sudden, bam, all them niggas are dead. Now we are left with the trauma of Daisy Edgar Jones. We just killed off half of young Hollywood in the first 5 minutes of the movie. I turned to Monique. I said, oh, they are cooking right now because I'm already so fucking in. Glenn Powell hasn't even walked on the screen yet, and I am so wired. I am so shaken. I'm so shook. You just killed all those young faces that I came to the movie to see. So now they're out the way. Now we're left with Daisy Edgar Jones' trauma, who does a phenomenal job in this role. Perfect energy to bounce off Glenn Powell. Perfect energy to be the tough-ass woman when you need her to be the tough-ass woman, to have the trauma response when she needs those, to also be able to give Glenn Powell shit in a very joking and a very familiar and romantic way. She's got to do a lot of different things in this movie. she does them all flawlessly. I thought that she was phenomenal, and her energy with Glenn Powell's energy, they just carried this movie to the fucking moon. I have no notes. I have no edits. This is literally a perfect film. I could not be more happy with it. It is equally as good, if not better, than the first film. I gave it an A+ as well. This is a summer blockbuster. This is why I want to go to the fucking movies in the summer. It's hot outside. I don't even want to leave my fucking house in the summer. But if I am going to leave my house, I want to see shit like Twisters on the screen. Congratulations to everybody involved. This was real cinema. I cannot wait to see it again.
I wanted to say my second point that I left just in the ether a while ago, in that like the first movie, you know, Monique, you were saying that like people were, complaining about, the first movie and how it relates to this movie and so on and so forth, and like doing a disservice to the first movie. We went back immediately after Caitlin, we came home and she's like, I want to watch the first movie. I watched it all the time as a kid. We watched it. We're like, the last movie was better. The Twisters movie, the new one.
I've heard a lot of people saying that.
New one's way better. And maybe that's the shine of getting out of the theater and being like jostled around in your seat or whatever. But we watched it. We were like, this is silly. It's like, it's a silly movie. And the whole point of the first one is they literally had the technology to build the movie before they had the script for the movie. Yep. And so you really feel it in that movie. All that to say, they kind of did the opposite with this movie. Dex, I'll make more points here in a second, but go ahead.
Twisters was a movie designed in a lab for the One Take podcast.
Hell yeah, brother.
You start out with Royden's favorite thing, which is letting your movie star be a fucking movie star. You add in Tej's favorite thing.
Uh-oh, we losing him or losing
him? Oh, you're muted, Dex. What happened?
I'm back. Am I back? I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. We lost you at Tej's favorite thing.
Which is fucking perfectly marketing a movie. They had Glenn Powell every goddamn where talking about how fucking great this movie is. They had Anthony Ramos sitting there like a fucking cuck, just like and Glenn Powell wanted to fuck each other. Which was hilarious every single time. I could not stop laughing at like Twitter videos of Anthony Ramos just being like, "Yeah, guys, I'm
just like on the side, looking at them like flirt with each other." It's like,
I kept telling Monique, he's hitting on her. Monique was like, "No, he's not." I was like, "Yes, he is. She's curving this man.
She's curving this man in real life and in the movie."
I'll say this real quick.
Like, in real life and in the movie.
A lot of people have gone back and forth on like if they like Anthony Ramos or not on Twitter. Yeah. But Twitter isn't a real place because all the women sitting next to me when Ramos came on the screen were giggling and kicking their feet because they fucking love that guy.
Good looking guy.
Yeah. If I may interject here, Dex, just to say my favorite thing. I know I'm not One Take, but I've been on here enough. I am a long-standing guest.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. It also includes my favorite thing, which is nerdy people can also be sexy. Okay, thank you so much. Go on. we exist. Okay.
Built in a lab for this podcast. And like they also just dropped a fucking banger country album as the soundtrack to this movie.
Debuted at number 7.
I don't even like country music, and that shit was banging. It really works. It works. It's perfect.
I had a good time.
I'm ending this podcast with "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma." By the way,
it's so good. I've been listening to that song for months, like since it dropped.
Was that Dolly Parton singing that song?
Wait, no, what? No, the first.
Ain't No Love in Oklahoma. Who was singing that?
Luke Combs. What are you talking about?
No, there's a woman singing a song about Oklahoma in this movie, and I was like, is that Dolly Parton?
No,
I don't know who country
like
music
Miranda Lambert or something.
Okay. There's a Miranda Lambert one, there's a Lainey Wilson one, but anyway, yeah, they dropped a banger original soundtrack for this movie, and it works in every scene. Glenn Powell, like everyone who comes to this movie is waiting for Glenn Powell to show up on the screen, and he fucking delivers. Like, he walks out to No Love in Oklahoma, like gets off an RV or whatever the fuck, and everyone in the theater just like, yeah, this is why we're here. This is what we came for.
The like, whitest teeth you've ever seen.
RIP to all those kids who just died 20 minutes ago. But now it's time to lock the fuck in.
Fuck them kids. What's up,
fuck
Glenn?
Them kids. And Daisy Edgar Jones, worst person in the world. You got your friends killed. That's whack.
And Kirby.
But But yeah, Glenn Powell, like everything that he does in this movie just fucking works. Even when like they have the moment where he's like entered old lab or whatever, and he's like, looks like you got some data there. Let me just like drop this in a supercomputer real quick. Like, yeah, that could be corny and cheesy if anyone else said it, but Glenn Powell said it, and you're like, yeah, you should do that. That's a good idea. Everything he does just works in this movie. All the tornado scenes rule, and there's so many of them. I was wondering if they were gonna like, try and like limit the amount of tornadoes, make it feel like it's one big, scene where people are in danger or whatever. No, they kill so many people with so many tornadoes over and over.
It's amazing.
It's perfect. It's exactly what you want. And they let the YouTuber be like a cool, good guy. It's not just like, oh yeah, he's a YouTuber. He's full of himself. Oh, he makes content, so he must be the worst person in the world. No, the goddamn capitalist riding around in pickup trucks with fucking logos on them. Fucking suck. Us YouTubers out here just trying to make
in movie theaters.
Yeah, we're just trying to have a good time. Glenn Powell saved the movies. All right, like let us have this. So yeah, this movie is perfect. Most of the lab for us as a podcast. This is going to go in the pantheon with The Northman and with Ambulance as just a movie we just talk about all the fucking time because we just fucking love it. I'm putting Twisters in the One Take Pod Hall of Fame.
Hell yeah,
turn that up.
A+.
I'm in.
I was gonna sit here and be like, it's an A because the conceit is a little dumb, like whatever, like summer blockbuster, big fuck it, A+. This movie rocks. It's gonna be the first movie that I see in theaters again this year. I don't normally go back, but like this is gonna be the first one that I actually do go back and see. Completely inoffensive movie, so much to the so like I said, they like barely the whiff of climate change is like in the air, like. Oh, suddenly there's way more tornadoes now. And it's just like, yeah. Why? Let's dig down deeper on that. But no, it's a movie for, the 4 quadrants or whatever you want to call it. And I just think that like, Glenn Powell, I've never seen like, in my lifetime, I'm sure it's happened a few more times than I'd like to recognize, but in my lifetime, I've never seen somebody where everyone goes, he's going to be a star. Just watch it happen. And then in real time, he just takes it and he just does it. It's so weird to see like the projection. Is this what it felt like when Tom Cruise was in the 90s? Is that what like, people were like, he's going to be a star. And then he just was in Mission Impossible, and everybody was like, "Fuck yeah, I got it, cool."
Because like you see it not work. So even like now, everyone was like Timothée Chalamet. Oh, he's him. He's gonna take over Hollywood, and like it just still hasn't happened yet. Like Dune 2 is great, but like he just isn't that. He's just
not in the zeitgeist. Yeah, like I mean, it was like Miles Teller is gonna be a star, and then like Glenn Powell punched him in the throat and said, "Get the fuck out of my face!" Like it's like it is. Crazy to watch.
Top Gun. Both had the same launching point. Didn't go the same.
In fact, Miles Teller, head start. Some would say, way bigger head start. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Dex? You had something?
Glenn Powell just got in the booth. Get in the booth.
And has like not. That's the other thing. Has like not stopped making movies. But there's a couple of things that you can do when you know that this is going to be one of your star vehicles. Is you're on screen from the moment go. Or you come in on fire halfway through the movie. And I love the latter. When the latter
They could not have done a better job with his entrance.
I think so too, Royden, yeah.
They could not have done a better job with his entrance. It was it was like when he came onto the screen, me not knowing who he's going to play in the movie, I knew that guy already. It's like, this guy is a cowboy. He's a white guy. He's super extremely handsome. He has a lot of fun and he makes content. I know this guy. He's annoying, but he's got a good heart. It's like I immediately knew who he was. He'd only been on screen for 5 minutes. Like that is a movie star. That is the power of a movie star. A movie star comes onto the screen and you know things about that person. You know things about that character before the movie has told you those things. That's exactly how I felt when Glenn Powell came out there. I was like, I know this guy. I completely know this guy. This guy is annoying as shit, and he's the greatest thing I've ever seen on a movie screen, and I'm going to fucking love this film. And it was right. He maintained the energy through the whole movie.
he also has like he is now millennial McConaughey, where it's I'm not 100% convinced that he's some brilliant actor, and in fact, there are certain points where I'm like, I think Daisy Edgar Jones is like way better of an actor than you are.
Oh no, I
on
totally
screen.
agree with that.
And
She's got way more to do.
Yeah, she's got way more to do and has to carry a lot more. Glenn Powell is, sort of yes-anding a lot of her stuff, and being hot. But he's McConaughey in the way where it doesn't really matter. And because he looks the way that he looks, that's his superpower. In the same way it was with Anyone But You, it's Sydney Sweeney's superpower. They look the way that they look, and the acting is a bonus. But the charisma jumps off the screen, and I kind of think that, not to say to disparage Daisy Edgar Jones, who has great charisma with other co-stars that she's been with. Go watch Normal People on Hulu, please. I'm begging. But
Normal People's good.
It's so good. But my thought is that Glenn Powell could kind of have chemistry with anyone, like anyone, and including like half the men on Anyone But You. And and what?
I'm glad that we're talking about Anyone But You, because from a a person that likes men perspective, I think it's really impressive to say that, like, I walked away from Anyone But You kind of like with Glenn Powell, and then like Twisters is what got me into it. Like, he did way less sexuality, like way more clothes on the entire time, and he was super sexy. And I think there's something to be said about that. Like, I think
it was the cowboy hat that got you, huh?
Is the cowboy hat, is the biceps,
but he had the wet white t-shirt on. My theater went crazy.
Oh my gosh, that scene, they put that scene in for the girls.
They nearly cut it out. Like, Lee Isaac Chung didn't want it in the movie, and the editors, there's like an article that the editors made him keep it in the movie.
Exactly. Lee was wrong. Lee was absolutely wrong.
It doesn't serve any purpose in the narrative progression of the movie.
There's no other shot like that in the film, and it's just it was so ridiculous. But I loved it because it looked he was hot in it, and that's how you should walk as a man. But I want to say, like, just in conjunction with the climate change comment, I think the film made the comment that needed to be made on climate change, which is that it matters how it affects the people. And that's the whole point of the film. Like, and so I think they did a great job in commenting about climate change without commenting about climate change. Because, like, sure, we can talk about the why it's happening, but also it's not about the why, it's about how is it affecting people. And they fucking nailed that, And the person that carried that entire like idea was Glenn Powell. So
that's true.
You have a brilliant, sexy, hot but kind, like, and considerate, and he's a YouTube influencer. Like, he's every good thing that you want in a man, he has it. And then he's like a country boy, so he's like your family likes him. Like, this Twisters movie did.
The mom liked him immediately. Like,
made
immediately
Glenn
she was
Powell the fucking perfect man that Anyone But You couldn't. That's a romance, whatever other romance thing he was in. You guys remember what's the name of it? I was looking it up.
Hitman is
kind of. There's another one, but like
Hitman is sexy. There's a lot of sex in Hitman. It's not showing the sex, but it's a very sexy movie.
To be said that all the complaints about the sexiness, I've never seen Glenn Powell sexier. So I mean, Twisters just did a great job. Sorry, go back to you.
All that to say, like, if they would have, I say it's like an inoffensive movie, and like they don't talk about. I understand it. All that to say, if they actually would have included like the preachy climate change stuff, I think it kind of would have fucked the movie. So I don't care. It doesn't ruin the movie for me at all. I just like noting that it's like, we know what we're doing here a lot with this. It's a movie, it's a disaster movie in 2024. That's just outside,
Yeah.
That is just like on the news. And so it is interesting to see people respond to these disaster movies in kind, because they've kind of gone by the wayside. Like, the best one to come out recently was like Greenland over the pandemic, and that didn't get any like response because it was almost straight to VOD. But they had a peak in the 90s and early 2000s, and then it just has dipped because everybody's like, don't care. It's like Category 5 hurricanes are happening in June now. Like, we don't,
yeah,
like, it just is.
And like places where they shouldn't, like New York City.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, wait, what? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's there's floods in Los Angeles. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. So I just think all that to say, if the preachiness would have ruined the movie. I completely acknowledge that.
This is the same Top Gun argument. Top Gun
Yeah.
1 and 2 has no politics whatsoever in a topic that could be extremely political. They're literally doing war missions against other countries. They don't even name the fucking countries, or they barely tell you what the conflict is, because they don't want that shit to feel like real life. They want that shit to feel like a video game simulation, and it does.
Also,
it's perfect.
They wanted this movie to play in Oklahoma.
Yeah, facts.
just is what it is. My lasting thought from this movie after 1 and 2, I know there's jobs in Oklahoma, and not to besmirch that whole state. Why are we living in these places that it's just like, oh, house is
Oklahoma,
gone?
Terrible place. Glenn Powell made Oklahoma likable. I've never seen Oklahoma be likable before. That's the power of
This
Glenn
is
Powell.
this is your UT thing coming out.
That is the Glenn Powell power of Glenn Powell. Me, a Texas fan, when there are Oklahoma merch in this movie, just like there's Oklahoma merch in the first movie, I don't care, because it's cinema, and Glenn Powell makes Oklahoma look like a fucking awesome place to live outside of the tornadoes.
I'll say this: Glenn Powell doing the country and western. I'm from Austin, Texas thing. Brother, you're from the middle of Austin, Texas. Like
it doesn't matter.
You're not
Doesn't
from.
matter.
You know what? This movie made me feel like, you know what? If I need to go to the country and find my man and bring him over here to LA, then we're gonna do that. If I need an Oklahoma boy, that's what I'm gonna get.
You're not.
I just love that they did the
Never
the
said a
Hallmark
nastier
Christmas
sentence than if I
movie
need
thing
Oklahoma
in
boy.
this, where like the New York City girl comes back home and like falls in love with the nice country boy.
Yeah.
Like,
It was
I
almost
love that. I'm here for it.
but then it wasn't that, because she's not.
It was that, Monique. Just because they don't kiss don't mean she didn't fall in love. She definitely fell in love.
No,
I'll tell you
I'm
that.
saying it wasn't that, because she wasn't from New York City. She was.
Oh, yeah, she's an Oklahoma girl.
She's like,
But
I'm
She forgot who she was. She had
She
to
forgot
find
who she
herself
was.
in Glen
But
she
Powell.
was repressing trauma, and she was repressing home. She didn't come home to see her mom. She didn't do none of that shit.
Also-
where's she from? Susupula? That was an
She was like, "I'm from right up the
Sure.
road." As soon as she was like, "I'm from right up the road," I was like, "Oh, so we're gonna go to her house then?" Because in the first movie, we go to the aunt's house of the female protagonist. Like, oh, we're gonna go to the mom's house.
One question though: how did Glenn Powell find her in her mother's house? Did we cover that?
Said
I
he
don't
like
remember
asked
what
her
he
right.
said.
He
Yeah,
asked
asked
around, and somebody remembered her because of the event. She's a bit famous around there, so somebody
Yeah.
remembered who she was based on the event where all her friends died. So he knew
This
who she
this
was.
is a universe where phone books still exist.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
Probably.
he said something like
Okay.
I think it was the black guy in his crew, like remembered who, like her last name from
Right.
the,
And so he found her, and then just pulled up to mom's house. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
There's a couple things. I knew this movie was going to be a certified classic when the oil rig fire happened,
Man,
because
that was
I
so fucking
audibly
cool.
said, "Oh shit!" I was like, "That's the first time I've done that in a movie in a long time." I was like, "Whoa!"
This movie
Like-
also looks great. It looks great.
Yeah.
Like the CGI is great. It
He
looks great.
wishes he could do that scene number one.
Hold on. Don't do that.
Number
Let's
We're all
take it
having
there.
fun here. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
There would have been a drone in the middle of a real tornado.
They
Michael
literally say in this
Bay-
movie, you can't use drones because it'll get blown away. And my first thought was, Michael Bay's drones would never get blown away by some wind and tornadoes.
No, shout out
Ever
to
in
you.
life.
You know you can
Ever
do
in
that
life.
more. But that I love the oil rig thing too, because it looked like a video game to me, and I love video games. And it just felt like I was in a video game. I was like, this is fire.
Yeah. Where I would take points off is like after the first scene, it's like where they do kill all of the people in the world. They're just like, they just kind of balk on killing any more of the crew.
Yeah, like the crew, spoiler alert, pretty much no one from the crew dies. Other people are seen dying throughout the movie, but
Yeah.
not really anybody in our inner circle. You're right. That
Yeah.
kind of doesn't happen.
And I was thinking also another point is like, was Helen Hunt going to be her mom? Like, I was just thinking like that was what was going to happen the entire time. But then this is really a sequel in name only, in that it barely has any ties to the first movie.
Barely, yeah.
It might as well be its own thing.
The
Like-
plot structure is more similar than there are like story beat structures that are
Right.
the same. The plot structure is pretty similar, but that's
And
pretty much about it.
Unfortunately, you just like Helen Hunt, you probably could have brought back, but we all scoffed at when they did that in Jurassic Park recently, where we were all just
True.
like boo hiss. But the thing that I was thinking, I was like, kind of the other memorable characters from the original Twisters have died, and bringing back Helen Hunt would have felt weird when all those other people just can't come back.
Yeah.
Like, so
I would have liked it less. And
yeah,
props to Helen Hunt, but I would have liked it less.
I would have liked it less too. That's what the point I'm trying to get at anyway.
Let's have Mo give us her 5 minutes on Longlegs, and then she can get out of here.
Because it's late.
So we're going to Longlegs.
Yeah, we'll have Roy introduce Longlegs after you do your review.
Oh, okay.
Tell us what you thought of Longlegs.
You know, shout out to marketing. To all marketing teams and
oh God,
to all marketing teams, Phil, you did great. You did great.
You tricked us.
You got us. You did a fantastic job. I mean that seriously. I am in the business. It's very valuable. That's a very, very valuable part of your film team to market this as what it was. What the fuck did I watch? Here's the thing. Beautifully shot. I mean, every single scene was
very beautiful.
Beautiful gowns.
When I tell you the gowns were beautiful, the sound design. It had everything: a psychological thriller, a horror, a supernatural. Like it had it all. It did really, really well from a fundamental filmmaking standpoint.
True.
And then we met Longlegs.
Facts.
And I was like, I mean, okay. You can't name the movie the most underwhelming character of the movie. It just... I get confused. I don't understand why it did it. And it's not that I needed to be scared by Longlegs, but it can't have been that everything around Longlegs was scarier than Longlegs himself. I need a better balance. Again, I was in the first 15, 20 minutes before we met Longlegs. I was like, this is cool. Okay, we're following this brilliant, clairvoyant girl. And, we've got Blair Underwood in every scene back to back to back.
Shout out to Blair Underwood.
Oh my gosh. I love you, Blair Underwood. But then we get...
Did y'all know he's like damn near, he's like 60 years old?
Yeah, he doesn't look it.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But again, and if I never see that movie again, I'm totally fine. I've said this before. I've felt like this for many, many years, well before I developed What We Watch. Nicolas Cage it's just not it for me. He got me back with The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent and that other meta movie.
Dream Scenario, which was dope as hell. So it was cool to see him kind of like aware of people, like how people like me feel about him. So that was really cool. And then now we're back to this. And this is why you can't gas people too much, because when they get back in their bag, and I'm like, no, this is not your bag, bro. It's not your bag, bro. I'm not into it. So yeah, I mean, I'm a horror girly through and through 100% of the time. I'm an Ari Aster fan. So like, period. Telling me and marketing this film to me like it's about to be the sickest thing I've ever seen, like you got to come on with it. And so, you got me, because I think all the scenes were fine. I watched In a Violent Nature earlier this year. I've watched every Ari Aster movie multiple times. Everything was fine. Everything was totally fine. I've seen people get shot. I've seen people get, consumed and possessed. I've seen people, go see Mr. Downstairs. I was like, okay, all right, Longlegs, you're a weird, creepy guy, but like most guys are weird and creepy. So I'm just like, you're just kind of more ugly. It's like, also most guys are ugly. So I just, you got me. I think it was good. I think the shots were beautiful, stunning. I give it a C-. No, I lied. I give it a C. Did you realize Kiernan Shipka was in both these movies?
Yeah,
I did.
What a year!
Yeah. What a year for her.
She's great. But guys, I feel strong about this, and now I do want to like hear a little bit about how y'all felt, because there's no way that you guys walked away from that film, number one, saying that you'd watch it again, number two, saying that Nicolas Cage ate down because he didn't, and number three, feeling like that was the most disturbing movie you've seen. There was, and I do mean this when I said there's nothing disturbing about the movie. I was never disturbed. I was like, okay, that's fine. Okay, that's cool. You know, your family.
That means you want to hear from Royden because I can't give you that.
My last. I don't know how Dex feels too. My last
Dex
take.
did not watch this film. Dex does not watch any scary movies. So
Oh
this movie's not
dang,
scary.
Dex, why
Dex
you
is-
listening? Close your ears. Ah.
Dex is a coward.
No, he
He's
doesn't care
never going to
about
watch
spoilers.
it.
He's never going to watch this film.
Yeah, I'm pussy.
But,
I'm
Jack,
not.
when I tell you that you didn't miss anything, again, like I would study it as a filmmaker.
Yes, you did. You missed the
Yeah.
first half of the movie. This movie is fucking phenomenal. It goes. And then
The
it
last
falls
thing
off
I
the
will
cliff.
say is that this movie works so well. If Longlegs was her long lost dad, wow, what a mind blowing thing that would have been. Halfway through the film, I was like, oh shit, she's related to
But
this.
no, Mo, it's his mom. It's her mom. Yay! It's her mom.
Mom.
That part stunk. That
I
part was
just,
awful.
I couldn't. I was like, if this is his dad, that makes the first scene hit harder. She's like, now she's struggling to find her dad, who's a killer. She has killer in her blood. Then we get Longlegs too. I mean, it's perfect. But you know, I didn't make the movie, so that's my take. Go ahead, Royden, so I can hear the people that like the movie what you guys thought.
I will agree. Great marketing to say, but I didn't come out of this. Like I mostly agree with a lot of the stuff being like, no, this was not the most disturbing film ever. Like this is like a David Fincher film. This is like
What-
half of.
It's literally a Fincher
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, like
with horror elements.
It's
Which
7.
is a fucking cool idea, but this
It's-
is 7.
It's 2024-7.
Yes.
But Fincher actually, yeah,
Fincher would have never cast such a dopey villain,
he
but
would
yes,
never
it's a
done no
Fincher
shit
movie.
like this. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's 7. It's
I mean,
Zodiac,
he did cast Kevin Spacey, but we don't have to like talk
That's
about
Well, Kevin Spacey is the real life Longlegs. He was pretty
Mistakes
scary, but
Mistakes were made.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made.
that. No, I think that it was a great serial killer movie that we just don't see anymore. Not Siri on my phone, but serial killer movie that we don't see anymore because they just kind of stopped making it because everything is true crime now, which I'm obsessed with serial killer movies.
Yeah, me too.
Like Seven, like Zodiac, which Fincher is so good at. And this is like, this isn't so much as to say like, oh, we have Fincher at home sort of meme, but it is like Fincher light. And Oz Perkins is, really interesting story, really interesting guy. If his dad was, in Psycho, he was the original actor.
His dad was like, is well known for being in Psycho.
His dad was in Psycho. He's the main character in that, and there's a lot of baggage that comes with him in general and that story as well.
And some Psycho in this movie. Like, there's definitely some homages to Psycho in this movie.
And he's been influenced by it, obviously. And I've listened to a couple of interviews with the guy, and he's a really interesting cat. But like that to say, the most disturbing film you'll ever see, yada yada yada. The best horror movie. I don't even think that it's a horror movie.
It's not.
I think it's a really, really good, tense police procedural that we just don't get enough anymore. All that to say, though, too, there's like elements of the supernatural, and I mean, it even delves into like it just is the supernatural, but like she has this like almost like a superpower, and that's undescribed, undisclosed why, and Nicolas Cage is doing a bit, which is where I kind of think that to me is where Nicolas Cage falls off. But Nicolas Cage, I don't even know if he knows who he is anymore because Nicolas Cage is always doing bits. But
I love Nicolas Cage too. This hurt my feelings, bro.
But the decisions of him and of Oz Perkins with that character kind of baffling, but that didn't take me out of the movie. I was tense for 98% of the movie. until, they sort of make a joke of who Longlegs is. Like, Dad, the weird guy's here again, like that whole line. And the whole point of that was for Oz Perkins he's come out and said is that we shouldn't venerate these serial killers like we do in society. Like, they're idiots and awful people. So, like, why not make my serial killer that? But all that to say, though, you do that, and then it takes a fucking sinister turn at the end of the movie, which I thought was really something a lot more dark than what it was purported to be throughout the first almost 3 acts of the movie. They're like 2 acts and a half of the movie.
You mean the turn that her mom is the one that's involved in
yes,
doing this?
and like you don't I understand that people don't like that, but like and I did think it was sort of silly to then, like, we're spoiling it now, but I did think it was then sort of silly to fully turn this into the devil made me do it. But all that to say, the idea to me of what are we doing to protect our families and what are we willing to do to protect our children, and then pitting them against one another at the very end of the movie kind of hurt my heart a little bit. And I was like, ooh, like this is gross and like a lot more sinister than I thought it was through, like I said, the first 2.5 acts of the movie. The scariest thing that you'll ever see, it is not. And the marketing, good on them. They have made $66 million off of like a $3 million budget for this film, which is well. like the biggest gross for Neon ever. It passed Parasite.
It passed Parasite, which is literally the greatest movie of all time. That's crazy.
Yeah, so good on them. But I wish they would make more of these films. The turn at the end, silly as it may be, I appreciate when something looks as good as this, and it's like, ooh, just give me more Mindhunter. You know what I mean? Like that's what, like, this is what the whole thing is coming down to.
Just give me more sign. Just give me more Zodiac. Just give me more of these Fincher procedurals, because that shit, it works.
But because Mindhunter was great, but it's a show, and I think Longlegs might have been better as a show. But you're saying like you want the movies. Like, I'm a serial killer girly too, right? And I want to hear your grade because I don't think I got your grade. But like, I love, like, I'm even talking about like the Clove Hitch Killer, which I don't know if everyone watched that, and like American Psycho and Seven and Zodiac. Like, I'm with you. Silence of the Lambs. Like, there's so many, like X, fucking, the T West movies. Like, I Saw the Devil. Like, I love a serial killer film, and it works so well. But there's certain reasons why it works so well. And when you get like the end of this where it's just a creepy guy that ends up being the devil, it's like, it's just marketing genius. You marketed this uniquely disturbing thing. Babes, I've seen Talk to Me. I've seen In a Violent Nature within the last 12 calendar months. Like, Longlegs, and I've seen Men by what's his name? Alexander Garland, or whatever. Like, I've seen disturbing films, like extremely disturbing films where people are dying in insane ways and smashing their heads against things, and supernatural things getting involved, a la The Conjuring. So like, I get it all, and but to come together and try to finalize it in this way where it's just like your mommy, which I've respected, Roy, and like, you're right, it is sinister when you say it. Like, it's much more sinister, but they didn't deliver it on screen, and I think that was the issue. Sorry, what was your grade?
I give it a B-. I think as a serial killer whodunit drama, I think it's like the best that we've gotten in years. And to say like just to say, because we haven't gotten that many, like, I put it on par. It's not as good as, like, say, Zodiac and Seven and Silence of the Lambs. I'm not saying that, but for what it is in 2024, it is that good to me for the year that we're in. Now we need more of them to reset the scales a little bit on that. Mm-hmm. But as a horror movie, meh. So like B- is where I'm at with it. I've come down since I saw it, and there are a lot of people that went into it, I think, riding on that hype of like, there's a lot of people in our group chat that are like, it's the best
And
movie I've seen
I
ever.
was too.
And I
I
was
was
just kind of
riding
like,
that hype, and I was like, I was expecting to be blown away, and that's not quite the movie that you get. But
I can't remember if it was Garrett or Noah that was like off of the back of that movie, like Nicolas Cage is like a top 10 actor of his generation. We're like, we can name 15 actors that are better than like that guy.
I fucking love Nicolas Cage, and I think he is the worst part of this movie by a long
Last
stretch.
movie I liked him in was in Ghost Rider, and he was like covered the entire time.
I love Nicolas Cage, but I understand. Oswald Perkins is right. We should not put these serial killers in the position we put them in our society and in our popular culture. He's absolutely right. But the way of doing that, and by putting this goofy ass dude on the screen, is bye, Monique. We love you. Thank you.
Monique, thank you so much for coming on.
This goofy ass dude on the screen. The first hour of this movie, I'm obsessed with it. It looks perfect. Micah Monroe is amazing, and I was like, we are getting Fincher level a serial killer film. The setup is good. There are 10 families that have been found dead in their houses with no forced entry. How is this happening? That's such a cool setup. That is so fucking dope. The touch of horror elements we're doing as we're going through certain areas, I love it. All that stuff is so cool. When you see the creepy guy shows up at her house when she's a kid, but you don't see his face, that shit is so creepy. And I was like, we are cooking. I think the first 45 minutes of this movie, my heart was beating on my chest. I was like, it's happening. We're getting a fucking classic. I thought Micah Monroe was so perfect. I just, the first 40, I was mind blown by the first 45 minutes.
When he's creeping around her house and like the door slams open and like all that stuff. Yeah.
Those are the horror elements that are like, this is not a horror movie like a traditional horror movie, but putting those elements into a Fincher detective procedural is a genius idea, and it works so fucking well. I'm like, this guy's got some good ideas. I got to go find his other movies. I'm really obsessed with this. And then they popped Nicolas Cage on screen. He started singing, and I was completely out. Because the reason why the Fincher movies and the procedurals work,
Dex, it's weird.
It comes out of nowhere, and I was just like, oh, I'm not scared of Longlegs. Like, he's just Nicolas Cage being creepy and singing, but that doesn't scare me, bro. Like, the reason why the Fincher movies work is because at the center of them are extremely scary, anal people who are scary as shit in the way they go about their business, right? The way that the people are different. They're built different. The way that they're putting these, Longlegs is leaving these clues, which was so cool. We literally are seeing her decipher shit like Zodiac. I'm like, I'm in, bro. Anytime the killer is killing people and leaving clues at the scene, you have me. I'm already a captive audience member. As soon as they're like, hey, we found a clue at the scene, my spidey senses start going like this. That's the kind of fucking movie I like. I like a serial killer procedural. I like to follow a hardened detective with no feelings. Micah Monroe is literally not even a human. Like, she can't even have basic conversations with a little girl. I just thought
so weird. I said on Twitter, the weirdest, it's like Nicolas Cage gives the third weirdest performance in this movie behind Micah Monroe and Alicia Witt, the woman that plays her mother.
I just thought everything was so weird, intense, and off-putting. I really, really like the setup of this movie. And there are things I really love about this movie, but the Nicolas Cage performance, which is in the middle of this film, is just, to me, garbage. And I love Nicolas Cage, and I don't want to disrespect him. This guy made Raising Arizona. This guy made Face Off. I love Nicolas Cage. Even the recent shit. I like Dream Scenario. I like The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Like, I think Nicolas Cage is a severely underrated actor. I fucking love Nicolas Cage. When he popped up on the screen, I was just like, okay, I understood the statement he was making almost immediately once I got my bearings about what the fuck was happening. Because when he first started singing, they cut away. I was like, did we just cut? I literally thought that something happened with the reel of the film. Like, it skipped to another scene or something. Like, I was just so completely confused about what I was watching.
He's frightening when you don't see him in full.
Yes.
Like
when
the
they
very
showed half of
first,
his face, it was so scary. Like,
the very first
shit.
jump scare of the movie where he's like, I have my long legs or whatever.
Yes.
And he like ducks down or whatever. You're like, ooh.
That stuff works so much. But then when you see him and he starts singing, I'm like, oh, I'm out. Like, the reason why those Fincher movies work is because the tension that you're building is paid off when you meet the guy. When you finally see who's doing the stuff, the tension persists. And in this movie, as soon as we met him, I was like, the tension has lessened. And now the mom is the one who's involved. And I don't think, obviously, there was something weird about the mom relationship the whole time. Like, their conversations were like two husks of humans barely conversing with each other while they're on the phone. Like, so it's like something weird with the mom. But I just thought the mom actually being the one who's carrying this out was the dumbest possible way to wrap up a pretty cool story with some pretty cool elements. I think I'm going to be higher on it than you, Roy. And I think I'm going to give it a B. But we had the potential in that first 45 minutes. If you just showed me the first 45 minutes of that movie and you cut it off and I never got to watch the rest of it, I would tell you that we were watching a classic.
Where are the other episodes?
I genuinely felt like that first 45 minutes, I was like, I get the hype. People have been talking crazy about this movie. And I know that a lot of that is fueled by the fact that we thirst for these kind of movies because we don't get them anymore. And I realized how thirsty I was in the first 30 minutes of that movie. I was locked the fuck in because these are the kind of movies that I long to return to my life. And I just thought that Fincher himself would have had a fucking hard on in the audience in the first 30 minutes. When they had that first scene where she pulls up at the house, she's talking to her partner. She's like, he's in that house right there. Like, suddenly, and I was just like, my heart was beating so
unbelievable.
fast. Like,
yeah.
The way that they're able to build that tension is so good. I will give Oz Perkins his respect. He made some decisions I didn't particularly agree with, but the parts of this movie that work really fucking work. And this is probably a film that I'm going to watch again, and I'm going to hate the scenes that I hated already, but the scenes that I really liked, I'm going to enjoy because there's some really good shit here. I wish this was, we keep the horror elements, we keep the procedural elements, we can even keep the devil stuff. We just have to change the Longlegs performance, and we have to put the mom at a different point in the story about what her overall role is. But we had a lot in the gumbo that tasted really good. We didn't get the perfect gumbo, but I'm going to give it a B because I really enjoyed parts of this movie. I was really locked into it.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that first 45 minutes to an hour. I really did.
I think I'm definitely going to go back to it. Like, I don't really rewatch horror movies that often, but it's not really that like a horror movie. And it dives into the traditional horror elements at the end is why I think a lot of people like get stuck with people because it's like, oh, we're doing this. We're like for the traditional movie going audience. We're locked in now. Whereas like a lot of people, a lot of movie critics were like, oh shit, David Fincher is back. Like we didn't,
Yes.
yeah. Like we're like, oh, I didn't know this is what we were getting. Like, that's cool. But Dex, I don't know if you've seen Silence of the Lambs, but it's like, what if Hannibal Lecter was goofy?
Yeah, like what if he was making jokes and like, yuck, Hannibal Lecter is here? Like that would have.
What if Hannibal Lecter was a silly little guy?
That's a very different movie.
Exactly.
Like it's an extremely different movie, and that's what Longlegs did. They made their Hannibal Lecter into a goofball, and it really works for some people. That and it's a bold choice. I will give him credit for taking a major swing, but it was a swing that I completely fucking hated. And if we just had a straight random white dude as Longlegs that was not being goofy, I think I would have really enjoyed it.
And having like bad plastic surgery, which was a character choice, like in the movie, it's really a strange performance. Off-putting enough that it didn't bother me that much, but I was still kind of like, I'm supposed to be like super afraid of that guy when they're making fun of him in the movie.
They're making fun of him in the movie. Like, why am I supposed to be scared of him?
Nobody laughed at that part, but I thought it was really good because I was like, maybe they're setting up that he's going to like kidnap this girl or something like that. But they're just like, Dad, the weird guy's back. You know, it's just kind of, it was a great bit. But yeah, anyway, what were you going to say?
I gotta say, I knew very little about anything that actually happens in this movie. I've only heard oh, it's the scariest shit ever, or it's not that scary, and I've heard like the Nicolas Cage of it all. But when Teej said he started singing, I lost it. I was like, what do you fucking mean?
He starts singing glam rock because a character choice that like,
that's the thing. It's not even like he's singing a creepy song. He's singing like pop songs. I was just like, what? It's
a character choice that like Perkins and Cage came to, that he's obsessed with 80s hair bands or something like that to that extent, where it was like, or 70s and 80s hair bands. So he's like trying to get this plastic surgery that makes him look prettier, and it's like all butchered and stuff, but in the same way it's really convoluted once you say it out loud, but like he's like killing these people without killing them, and it turns out that
he's not touching them. The mom is doing it.
Yeah,
but the devil is making him do it, and then he's making the mom do it. If Nicolas Cage was in the same movie that Micah Monroe was in, I keep on praising her performance. I thought she was mind-blowingly good and so weird and so off-putting. And every time she was on screen, I was drinking it up. If Nicolas Cage was in the same movie she was in, I think we could have had something that was out of this world special.
You know, take away the Kevin Spacey of it all, but if we have the same performance that like Kevin Spacey in Seven is this guy, does it bump it up for you? It's like more straightforward.
Way up. It's more straightforward. It's more accessible, and I understand they're trying to subvert that, but in this case, the subversion they made no sense to me at all. And I thought it ruined all the good work it did to build all the tensions. They built a shitload of tension. I was scared as shit when I didn't know what the fuck Longlegs was. When they showed half his face, I said, one, I've never seen that before, and two, holy shit, that makes it so scary to not be able to see his face. That was such a cool decision at that point in a movie that makes a whole bunch of cool decisions. A whole bunch of cool decisions in that first 30 minutes in terms of how we shoot stuff, how we reveal information. Even the fucking exposition that Blair Underwood has to do is so good. I think Blair Underwood's performance is great. He's got to do some exposition, but he does so well with it. It's a great cast of the movie, except for the Nicolas Cage thing. The mom character is weird. We were close. I will give him credit where credit is due, and I will be there for the next Oswald Perkins movie just because I see the potential. That first 30 to 45 minutes was special to me. I won't forget that experience for a very long time.
I think it's a Stephen King adaptation that it's already in the can, and it's for Neon. I think he has like a picture deal with Neon or something. So they're like, again, they ran like a Top Gun Maverick marketing campaign on this shit.
Did.
It was unbelievable.
They said people were running out of the theater throwing up. That my theater was perfectly normal. Everybody had a perfectly normal viewing experience.
Sat with their hands, sat on their hands for a little bit.
Everybody's
the in the theater throwing up thing is just insane to me. I've never I don't watch a ton of scary movies or whatever, but I cannot think of what they would have to show me in a movie theater to make me throw up.
I really don't. I would be disturbed.
I'm
killing children. Killing children in a brutal way maybe would be like where I would draw the line. But I don't know.
I would draw the line. I would be like, that's fucked up. I would probably leave. But
this unreal thing made me vomit. Yeah,
that's the power of marketing. It probably cost them a fucking cent on the dollar to go have somebody spread that shit around the internet. We believe whatever the fuck we see, so we're like, oh my god, this is scary as shit. That stuff worked on me. I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna be there anyway, but my hype level went from okay, I'm excited, the trailer's good, to oh shit, people are throwing up in the fucking movie theater. Let's go. I want to feel something, and I didn't feel quite what they were trying to give me.
We're going long, but I normally make this swing on people are, normies are going to see this movie and love it. And we said that with, a few movies on this podcast. The Menu is the go-to one that we always talk about. Bullet Train being another one. But I kind of think that once this comes out, I guess Hulu has the deal with Neon. But I kind of think once this comes out, because film nerds are like, this is great. This is a great movie.
A lot of people want to see this movie when it.
I think once this streams, I think people, normal audiences, are going to go in the opposite direction with this movie and be like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be like, "What the fuck?" I think a lot more. Yes, I agree. The people that saw the movie were the film nerds who were already looking for the movie. When the general audience gets it, there's going to be a lot of what the fuck happened in the middle of Longlegs and what the fuck happened at the end of Longlegs. But that first 40 minutes, they're going to be like, Fincher is back in the flesh. Because that's what I was thinking. I said, Fincher's got to run for his fucking money, bro. This dude is coming for your corner. And then the movie kept going, and I said, I'm sorry, Fincher. I shouldn't have said that in my brain.
Based on what y'all describing, it feels like this is going to hit Hulu, and people are going to be like, y'all gassed up that bullshit?
Kinda. I mean, it's a great-looking, well-made film. So I don't want to,
really great looking. Really great looking.
I don't want to poo-poo it with some really good performances in the middle of it. Micah Monroe, especially, is sort of like the scream queen now. But I
turn her up. I thought she was fucking phenomenal.
She needs more chances to do more.
Yeah, I agree.
Do some other shit. But I don't want to I don't want to shit on it, which I'm trying not to. But I will say that people are going to be like, what the fuck is that? Like,
Yeah.
tweet aggregators are gonna just tweet Nicolas Cage's face and be like, what the fuck?
This is what y'all were saying was the best horror movie ever. It's gonna be a lot
Yeah.
of that. It's gonna be a lot of that.
Yeah. So but a lot of like, a lot of like normies did go and see it because of the way that it was marketed. But I think once it reaches even 66 million, give or take, however many people that reached, once it hits Hulu, people are gonna be, oh shit, this is people are gonna watch it again. But
it's got a lot of style. I just didn't. I think we had so much style and so much substance already there. We didn't have to take the big swing or make the big decision we made in the center of the movie because there's a lot of style. Not just in the way that the movie looks, but the way that the opening trailers work, the way that the music hits work. Like, there's a lot of style there. There's a lot of really good shit and a lot of things that movie studios are going to see and be like, we got to get Barry Oswald on the line and see what he wants to make next.
Yeah.
I'm sure Neon was automatic like, let's see what he wants to do next because there's obviously some talent there, and I'll give him props for that. It wasn't a complete mission for me, but I saw enough to be interested in whatever the hell he makes next. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'll say this. Micah Monroe is making an It Follows 2 called They Follow, so I will be seated for that.
Oh, I'm into that.
Yeah, so It Follows, great movie. 2 hours, 15 minutes, but what are we watching, Dex? Hot D?
Dex has watched about 30 movies since the last time we
Yeah, that is true. You did
Yeah.
watch like all the movies on the plane? What happened?
Oh, so many. So the best movie that I watched for the first time since we last spoke was Deus Ex Machina or Ex Machina.
Great film.
Fantastic. I was like, oh, okay, this is why everyone like gives a fuck about Alex Garland because like what I've seen from him up until this point was like shit that came after Ex Machina. I was like, that's the guy. That's so y'all are like betting up some things on. But now having seen Ex Machina, I fucking get it. That movie rules. It was so dope. I watched. I tried to watch Priscilla. Like I said, not a real fucking movie. It's literally just Sofia Coppola being like, "Yeah, Elvis was bad, actually." Which, like, that's the fine thing to say. I'm not precious about Elvis. Like, yeah, he was bad, but like, I need you to like give me something here. Like, there has to be some type of plot other than actually Elvis is a bad person and you shouldn't like him. Which, again, fine thing to say. Just like make a movie about it. I watched Mamma Mia 1 and 2 again. I love those.
Classic plane movie.
I watched because we were in Australia and they wanted me to watch like classic Australian cinema. I guess we watched Muriel's Wedding, which was very odd. It was a strange film. Who fucking stars in that? What's her name? The
Muriel.
lady from Hereditary, Toni Collette.
Oh.
It was like one of her like first movies or whatever. Boo. Watched My Best Friend's Wedding, which the main character of that awful person, she stinks.
Yep.
Worst person in the world, but a fun movie, nevertheless. Shout out to Cameron Diaz.
That whole movie is like, oh, what if I kissed you? The movie, but from a woman's perspective.
Yeah, insane. Like, she's legitimately the worst person in the world. I don't understand how anyone will be friends with her. But I also watched shit. I watched a few other things here and there, but I keep going back to old shit that I've already seen before. Like, I tweeted the other day, I think about the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the Hunger Games prequel, all the time. And I've watched that like multiple times in the last month. I just love that movie. It's not.
You are
great.
the only person I've ever heard say that they've been obsessed with that film.
It's not great or anything. I just really
that
like
movie
it.
like 2.5 hours long too.
Yeah, it's long as shit. Shout out to Rachel Ziegler. I was just locked in. Like, just really fuck with that movie. So yeah, a bunch of bullshit. What I've been watching. I still need to get to The Bear. I never got around to that. We also watched a lot of Decomp, High School Musical 1 and 2, Camp Rock 1 and 2, the classics only. So yeah, I watched a bunch of bullshit. But what have y'all been watching?
Tej, go ahead.
Oh, I've been running. I ran Pulp Fiction because the rewatchables on Pulp Fiction, which is which is about 4 hours long.
The Lawrence Fishburne bit that you were tweeting about
That's
is
so
unbelievable.
crazy, bro.
What a bag fumble.
That's unbelievable. Basically, Lawrence Fishburne was the first offered the part of Jules Winfield, which is the part Samuel L. Jackson ended up getting, and he wanted to take it, but he was trying to find starring roles, and his people told him that taking this supporting role next to John Travolta wouldn't help him get to be a leading man, and so he lost that movie. That goes to Samuel L. Jackson, and because Samuel L. Jackson was so fucking phenomenal in that role, probably. I don't think I've ever seen a movie performance that is as good as that, like not even using hyperbole. What Samuel Jackson's able to do in that movie is just the coolest shit that I've ever seen on the movie screen. It literally made me fall in love with movies. Because somebody walked into a Cannes Film Festival and saw that, they immediately gave him the role that Lawrence Fishburne was negotiating to get at that time, which was Die Hard 3, which is another incredible film. Another incredible Samuel Jackson performance. Lawrence Fishburne was taking all this man's job because you let him take one job. They gave him the other job. He was literally trying to get $1 million to be in Die Hard 3. The studio was playing hardball. They didn't want to pay him that, but they said, all right, well, we might want to give it to Samuel L. Jackson because I hear he's good in Pulp Fiction, and we're going to see that tonight anyway. But if he's not good in it and we don't feel like he's right, then we'll just pay Lawrence Fishburne that money. They walked out of that movie theater and called Samuel L. Jackson immediately and said, we want you to be in Die Hard 3, and the rest is history.
Lawrence Fishburne had to fire his representation and punch Samuel L. Jackson in the mouth, man. Like, man, what do you do? What?
That's just great. Those are two of my favorite movies of all time.
He got The Matrix. It's fine. He's had a really good career.
And John Wick. He's fine. Yeah. He's doing fine. But it's just a sliding doors moment of what the fuck. So I've been watching Pulp Fiction. I went back to Kinds of Kindness, bros. That last third of Kinds of Kindness doesn't work. It stinks. Get it out of here. But those first two, I was very locked in again. I really like Kinds of Kindness. I've been watching.
I'm just now realizing I missed Kinds of Kindness.
Kinds of Kindness is good. That the third little story, get it out of here. It makes no sense. It's weird even for Yorgos, and I say that as his biggest fan. It's too weird. But the first two, they were cooking. Obviously, the cast is great. You know that. You know what you come to see. And it's the same cast for all three of the little mini films. And I had a lot of appreciation for the first two films, so I went back and watched it again. I've been watching Aliens because I'm getting ready for Alien Romulus. So I watch Alien, Aliens, and Prometheus, the three Alien movies that I care about.
The Alien Romulus, look,
that trailer looks fucking amazing.
It looks.
They've gotten this before.
Well, yeah,
that's true.
But it looks way more gross than like all the Ridley Scott.
Yeah, movies. It does. It really does. It looks like we're really getting to the grossness because a lot of times Ridley and Cameron are cutting away from the actual kills. It's just like, oh, it got him, but we cut away from a lot of the gruesome stuff. But it doesn't look like we're doing that in Alien Romulus at all. No. We're not cutting away.
Is Prometheus the one that has like the best trailer of all time, or is that a different one?
Yes. Okay. And Prometheus is good. Some people don't like Prometheus, but I think Prometheus is great. It's the prequel one. One of the prequels. It's great. But I've been watching Alien. I watched Devil Wears Prada because it was announced that they're making Devil Wears Prada 2. I ran that shit back. Anne Hathaway is just phenomenal in that film. Greatness. Stanley Tucci, great in that film. Just an incredible film.
Someone said the other day that 2006 didn't have any great movies at all, and I just said that's Devil Wears Prada erasure.
Yeah, they don't know.
Devil Wears Prada is real fucking cinema.
Facts. Great movie. I ran back Den of Thieves.
Hell yeah, dude. Yes.
Dudes Rock. I think that's it. I watched Deadpool 1 and 2 to get ready for Deadpool 3, but that doesn't really count.
I didn't even bother with that, by the way. I was just kind of like, whatever.
Even when Deadpool 2 came out, I was like, I'm not rewatching Deadpool 1. I don't care that much.
I ran them both.
So I watched a lot of recently, like I kind of watched a lot of Kevin Costner shit recently, but I watched For the Love of the Game. When I was coming back,
did you go see Horizon? Did you see Horizon Part 1?
No, I'm gonna watch it I'm gonna watch it online. I'm gonna find it.
Things are going bad. Horizon Part 2 indefinitely delayed.
Yeah. Yikes, Kevin. Yikes,
Kevin. Sorry, Kevin.
I watched The Mask of Zorro, by the way, from 1998.
Well, I haven't seen that in ages. Is it good?
It's good. It's really good. It's stupid, but Catherine Zeta-Jones and
Catherine Zeta-Jones was cooking at that time.
And Antonio Banderas are the two hottest people that have ever existed on a movie screen. It's kind of unbelievable. It's kind of how people felt about Pirates of the Caribbean when it first came out, but even better. Because I mean, it's not a better movie, but they're so hot.
It is a better
it's
movie.
crazy.
Pirates of the Caribbean movies stink. That's my hot take. I hate those films.
No,
I hate them.
that's untrue.
Man.
That's
I
untrue.
literally hate those films.
So I watched For Love the Game, unbelievable baseball movie with a baffling romance in the middle of it. It's fucking weird. A movie that nobody saw, but it's on Amazon with Jeremy Allen White and Micah Monroe, by the way, called After Everything, which is essentially The Big Sleep, but just they made it sooner. And yeah, it's pretty good.
Made it sooner.
They just made it before The Big Sleep, I think. Or they might have made it after. It's essentially just The Big Sleep. Like, hold on, not The Big Sleep. Sorry, what am I?
I was gonna say I don't know what
The Big Sick?
Sleep is.
The Big Sick. I keep saying that. Yeah,
Got it. I was like,
Sorry.
what?
they made it after. They made it after The Big Sick, but it's essentially
I was saying, The Big
kind of
Sleep's from like the 40s. I was like, what
Yeah.
do you mean before?
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. The Big Chill. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's a decent movie on Amazon for free if you're looking for something to watch. And what else have I watched? Rewatched Twister. Watched True Lies for the first time.
I also rewatched Twister. What do you think of True Lies?
Kind of thought it fucking rocked. But it is
It does.
what Jim Cameron, you're crazy for this one, brother. It is a wildly weird
Yeah.
movie.
It's so weird.
And the whole premise of the movie, also, Dex, you should watch it because it is all
'Cause
time.
There's an alien with 3 titties in the movie, so you have to.
No,
see it.
that's not that's not True Lies. That's True Lies is
Which
the
one is that one?
You're thinking of
Am I thinking of Demolition Man? No.
Is it Total Recall?
you're thinking
I
of
think
Total Recall.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Total Recall. That's right.
True Lies is the one with Jamie Lee Curtis, and there's just an all-time Jamie Lee Curtis scene in the middle of the movie. Just unbelievable in the middle of the movie. But the
Wait,
whole premise
Yeah, what's the premise of True Lies? I don't know
True
if
Lies is basically what if Arnold Schwarzenegger made a
this
James
is the
Bond
comedy
movie.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so it's what if Arnold Schwarzenegger made what was James Bond, but in a comedy. It's kind of funny. And so yeah, there's just an all-time Jamie Lee Curtis scene in the middle of that. And Apple TV, don't stop making good shows. Whatever your bottom line is telling you, you're making the best TV out of all the streaming services.
Presumed Innocent went crazy, bro. What a great
Finished
season of
Presumed
TV.
Innocent, loved it. In the middle of Dark Matter right now, loving it.
Pretty good.
Actually, I'm nearly done with Dark Matter. I'm gonna finish this. Stay up way too late and finish it after I finish this podcast. But yeah, keep making good shit and fuck what your bottom line says. You got the money. I'm buying the new iPhone.
Yeah, you guys aren't break. You guys are doing fine.
So yeah. Anyway, all the Apple TV shows is what I'm watching. So that has been a long-winded podcast.
We cooked. I'm not gonna lie, guys. We cooked.
2 hours, 30
We did
minutes.
it. We did it, Joe.
Worth every minute.
Last time we potted, Joe Biden was the candidate. This is crazy.
Oh man, what happened? Are we responsible for that? Did us
Our
not potty?
podcast was his life force. And
We hadn't potted for a month, and Joe Biden resigns. What the fuck?
but we've never been more back, bros. This is not a political podcast. We don't have to do this right now, but we've never been more fucking back.
Turn that shit up.
There's a half of our country that would disagree with you, Dex. What are you doing to us? I'm kidding. No, what a wild time. Especially all the Civil War memes that I was sending y'all. The movie Civil War.
Somebody tried to shoot Donald Trump in the head between our last podcast and this one. That's crazy.
Nobody cares anymore. That's fucking wild.
It's gone.
It's like the shit didn't happen.
It seems to me that we can't take a month off.
Never again. The fabric of our democracy is at stake. We have to keep potting, guys. We have to.
Always have to keep potting. Speaking of our next podcast, Trap from M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes.
I'm locked in.
I'm
Let's
announcing it
fucking
here.
go.
So
Let's
that will
go.
just a deep tease for whenever we get to record that podcast, probably next week. But that will be Trap from M. Night Shyamalan. Will it be good? Who knows? But that is the roulette wheel, the roulette table of M. Night Shyamalan.
He's tricked us before, but I will
Yeah.
be seated. I will be seated.
That is the dice game that you are playing when you go see a Shyamalan film. But I am rolling them, baby. I love that trailer.
That trailer is fucking perfect. I've seen people who are like, "Oh, they told us too much." I'm like, that's the fun of M. Night Shyamalan. It's like, have they told us too much?
Yeah, you
Or
don't
is this
ever
shit
know.
about to go off the rails? I have
You
no
never
idea.
know.
My favorite M. Night Shyamalan, though, is like, have they told us too much? Yes. That's just the answer to the movie. Like, it's exactly what you thought. That's my favorite Shyamalan. Not when he's trying to do all the twists, but Josh Hartnett's season, the Hartnett-assance is upon us, looking handsome as ever in everything that he's in. But thank you for watching a One Take podcast. Go find us at One Take Pod on Twitter, One Take Pod on YouTube, One Take Pod on Instagram, whatever. Go find us. Go follow Mo at Miss Peacherino. Go follow her at What We Watch. What's her Twitter handle? She tweeted us.
Miss Peacherino or what we watch is www.
At www Film TV, What We Watch on Twitter. Go follow her. Great content from her. Tej is always on those spaces and podcasts, so we really
We've been
appreciate
watching a
her
lot of Dragons, and Dragons only has one episode left.
Them
this season.
dragons.
We've been cooking. They are cooking in Westeros. Things are good.
Thank you for Mo for coming on and putting us in our place and calling us all ugly and then dipping before the podcast is over. But we really appreciate that. Dex, as always, what are we doing?
Hashtag support Florence Pugh. She's a standout in Thunderbolts. She's got the fucking Andrew Garfield movie coming up. Like, we're cooking. We are fucking back.
The
People
trailer
are
for
saying
that
Thunderbolts
movie.
is going to be fired. That from there was Comic-Con this weekend, and people are really liking what they saw about Thunderbolts. I just assumed it was going to be mid, but I should have known that Florence Pugh would do nothing but elevate and dominate and be amazing. I should have known.
It's
Buddy.
impossible for Florence Pugh to be bad in a movie, even if the
Fact.
movie itself is bad.
Fact.
We saw
Don't Worry,
Don't Worry,
saw it.
Darling. Everyone thought the stock was going to fall off. Hell no. She was incredible in that.
She was
shitty-ass
phenomenal.
film. She's her. She cannot miss.
Y'all, Tej, you're buying some generational lies out of Comic-Con. I will tell you that.
Maybe. I'm ready. I am. Give me the slop from Comic-Con. I will take it. Also, there was test footage from the Fantastic Four. It's grainy, so I refuse to watch it. But let me tell you something right now. Pedro and Vanessa, there's no way they're going to let me down. There's just no way that Fantastic Four is going to be a bad film. I'm putting that out there right now. There's no way that Pedro and Vanessa will give us anything less than cinema. I just refuse to believe it.
I don't think we talked enough about the Robert Downey Jr. thing on here, but we don't have to do that this week. It's going to be talked about forever.
Significantly more than $80 million for the two movies. Significantly more than $80 million.
That means he's getting points on the box office, probably.
Yeah, it has to be. Like that.
Yeah, they can't pay him half the budget of those movies.
That's insane.
Regardless, we always support Florence Pugh. We Live in Time is the Andrew Garfield one, and buddy, I'm gonna cry. This announcement.
It's gonna be a tearjerker. Maybe it can be a tearjerker.
All right, Dex, one more time. What are we doing?